Okay, let me make a quick post. Man, there's so much um NFL stuff. I want to get your take on later, Ghost. These have been pretty good so far. Okay, what the heck happened with you, Ghost?
Jesus. Wow.
Why we weren't in the middle of podcasting? Does it look frozen on your end, Tim? Go Ace.
Yes.
Kind of looks like when a streamer is frustrated at a game and then they hit the thing and then it just uh oh, there he goes. Nice. Is that going to be a frequent occurrence?
Hopefully not. I'm about to
I like
hardwire this in.
I like the optimism. I like that. I like that.
I just don't understand. Like, I had literally no issues, in the second you start the stream, it gets on this bullshit.
It's the streamer bad luck. You never heard of it? Yeah, I don't know. You know me. I don't even like saying the word luck. Okay. Well, since you already having issues, does your audio at least sound fine?
It should. Don't. Okay, I just got my wired thing. All right. Yeah, I should be fine. Hopefully.
That's also the that's also the jacked up part. Like if you want to plug your Ethernet cable into laptops, do y'all laptops have that port?
Nope. I'm
No.
actually remember when we bought the a couple of dongles for when we did the live pod at my spot.
You gotta
The
do another one
extra
soon.
one that we got, that's what I'm using to wire in.
That's
So
I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's an adapter for it. Yeah, that might have to be the shit. How do they make really long Ethernet cables? I wouldn't mind just having a long one.
I actually have like a 10 feet long one I'm hooked
No,
into right now.
no,
It's kind of
I'm
Wait,
talking
OP.
how
about
the
like
hell do you connect to the
I'm
internet?
talking about if you're trying to
Oh, I have
like
an Ethernet port.
I'm talking
Uh,
about I'm talking about if you're trying to like steal your neighbor's Wi-Fi type of joint. Like I'm talking about
oh shit.
like
I mean, they
50 feet.
probably do.
Or if you want to run one up from your like downstairs router to your upstairs.
Yeah, they have them that long. I
I
think
might
we
look,
have to do something similar
I
to
might
this
look into that.
spot. Hey,
Okay.
sorry. Can you say something real quick?
Yeah,
Cause your mic
your
sounded
audio
like
check didn't sound all the way right.
The official check. How do I sound? How do I sound?
yeah.
Low,
I think that's
loud,
pretty good.
Yep, that's good.
speaking. Okay. Okay.
The enthusiasm, obviously, like per usual. But what about myself? Does the audio sound all right? Does the volume all right? Does it sound clear enough?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, I think
What?
because
Wait. Don't. If you can hear it, don't start yet.
of course we can hear you.
You just froze on my end.
I'm
I,
frozen.
I wired in. It went from wired back to.
Yo, you need some type of booster or something.
Bro,
Yeah.
I don't even. I literally have the Ethernet cable plugged in, so it shouldn't be switching back to the
It's
router.
it's all
The
good.
router's literally like 4 feet. away
Oh,
from me.
it's all good. If you want, you can do a quick restart just in case.
This seems like a computer restart type deal because I
That's what
don't
I'm
know
saying.
what the fuck is
Just
going on.
restart everything real quick. Real
I
quick.
really don't
Inf-
want to, so we'll see if this works before I do.
yeah.
Red pissing me the fuck.
God damn it.
I think I'll just pull this up just for the sake of sake. Is it gonna be like a multi thing? Oh, will that change the thing actually?
All right, is that really what our starting soon looks like?
Oh yeah. You never look you never look at the YouTube.
No, no.
You should look at the YouTube sometimes.
Who is that? From I want to say
Stop.
Step Up. Oh my god, that's even
Yes.
worse.
That's always our thing. It's some random stock BS.
What's the? Never mind. Never mind.
I can't believe that. That's literally been our MO for the last how many ever podcasts, and you never know shit. Shame on you.
No.
Okay, everything looks good. Hopefully the audio.
What's the? Never mind.
There we go. I like that. Sounds good. Sounds like when it's being edited up, we'll have no issues. Anyway, we're live. So let's. Are we ready to start? Are we ready to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a bit latency on that response, but I'm assuming you guys were just thinking about it. Anyway,
Mhm.
when I start recording in 3, 2. Okay. All right. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Be Warmed and Be Filled podcast. We're back. We're back, and we have not everyone here, but we have most of the guys, the crew, mi amigos. We got Ace.
What's up?
We got Ghost.
Yo.
And we got myself, Questlando. Guys, how we all feeling? How we all doing?
Pretty good.
Decent.
The classic. And I'm feeling not too bad myself. At time of recording, we're in the swing of falls, and we're in New England, so the leaves are brown and falling. It's time to start bundling up, except if you're watching this visually, there's a wide variety of clothing going on here. I'm not gonna even question or comment, but y'all probably don't know if somebody's in Florida and other person's in Alaska. Anyway, sounds like we're all relatively doing well. All praises. So before we get into it, let me get the quick podcast jazz out the way. First and foremost, it's the stupidest thing you ever have to say, but like the video. But more importantly, we don't just come in here and talk. We provide some value. A lot of people, I was getting clowned for it before, really love music. And if you really love music and you're out in search of new music, we provide new music that we bumped into recently, new song selections of the week that we think you would appreciate and enjoy as well. So if you look in the description below, you'll find a Spotify playlist with all the new records. We definitely implore you guys to look and maybe find a new artist. And afterwards, we're done with the podcast and we're editing. In the description below, you can also find just a list of all the songs / artists that we recommend for that week. Additionally, afterwards, you'll be also able to find timestamps if you just want to, go around the videos for specific topics that we might have discussed. You don't want to consume the whole thing. The whole thing typically tends to be hours, like 2 hours plus. We understand, so we provide timestamps. And if you really just prefer really shorter videos, we would definitely recommend you go on the channel, go to the videos tab, and then you can find all the videos for all the condensed version of the topics that we discuss. So now that's out the way. Before we get into the topics, that's what we're all here for. Does anyone have any content recommendations outside of music? Any content that you might have consumed, whether it's a video, a TV show, a movie, a book, and or does anyone have any warm reviews?
I do have a recommendation and warm review.
Okay.
Hmm.
Let's hear it.
I think we or Ace mentioned this on the pod previously, but I finished Scavenger's Reign today, and it's short version, adult sci-fi animated. Um, Full season's out, 12 episodes, and it is fantastic. Like from the very first episode, in the first 5 minutes, I knew that it was gonna be peak, and it was. And so much that like as far as sci-fi in general as a whole, like the entire genre, all forms of media, books, movies, TV shows, this ranks very high up, like at least top 5 for me, if not higher. It just scratched all of my itches as far as like what I enjoy in series. Like the plot line felt, I don't want to say original, but it felt very organic in the way that it transpired. Like it wasn't really predictable as far as like you can tell what beats are coming. The characters are all very compelling, even if you're not necessarily rooting for them. Art is fantastic. The art style is I don't know exactly what they're inspired by. I think a lot of it is just like LSD, to be honest. But there's some very specific imagery, like some stuff from Adventure Time, um, some album covers that are very reminiscent of it for me too. But just the whole vibe, it's very alien, but it just feels kind of comfortable for some reason. I don't know how else to describe it. Soundtrack is incredible. Um, yeah, basically everything about it is like top notch. And yeah, I think it ended. The ending was pretty much perfect as far as you could look at it as standalone, or if it was going to move forward with another season, it's a whole nother story. But it leads off at a good point where you could be satisfied just watching it one off. So yeah, again, very highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Scavenger's Reign.
Dang. I didn't every day somebody enjoy something that much. Fair enough. What else we got? It's gonna be hard to follow up.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick, like, I guess, warm review type thing for an outing. I told you guys this, but last week I went to casino for the first time to actually like gamble. And
Gambler.
yes. Um and I had a very good time. Like I went going in, I didn't expect to really like it that much at all. Um just because it's not really in my nature to gamble away my money or like take any chances per se with my money. Like um it's just not, it's never been, something that I've really been into for fun, like, a few bucks here and there, sure, between friends, but nothing in any official capacity. um but since I was going, the reason I was going was to to was with friends. They wanted to do it, so I kind of
Uh,
tagged along.
no one expects you to go
And
to a casino by yourself.
oh yeah, I don't, maybe somebody does.
That's for the
um
real degenerates.
yeah, sure. So yeah, and I, since I was going with them, I wanted to see if I could do like participate in some type of gambling activity that would not be completely random. Like I would have some chance of at least influencing the probability of my winning, however insubstantial that may have been. So I like looked up games, and I was already familiar with like blackjack and poker, but since blackjack is so simple, and also you don't have to worry about like any randomness elements added from other people in the game or like dice being thrown or anything like that. that's the game I kind of targeted as the one I wanted to play. So beforehand, like last week, I looked up strategies, probabilities of like what you should do in certain situations when you get dealt certain cards against a dealer, and the best like ways to play in these various situations. And then I also did a little research into card counting, but it's not something I actually ended up doing just because of how like uh not necessarily complex it is, but just how much it is to have to keep track of. This
Definitely even
being my first
speaking on that
outing.
stuff.
Would you say?
Definitely even speaking on that stuff.
It's not illegal, so it's just something that obviously the casino doesn't want you to do because it gives you more favor against them. They want the odds to always be in their favor. Um, but yeah, either way. So just with that, like kind of memorizing the basic strategies according to the probabilities. With the rules that the particular casino that I went to kind of abides by. I was able to do pretty well. And I think like there was still, it's not like I memorized things such that I was guaranteed to win. So there was obviously still like an element of chance, but I definitely came out positive, which I was fully prepared to like lose all my money and be perfectly fine with that. So the fact that I even came out positive was dope. And also like the experience of going to some like an environment that I was completely unfamiliar with, but having been prepared enough to like sit down and just play the game and like get used to, using the uh like betting, using the chips, and like just kind of keeping track of what's happening around the table. Like it felt very good to be comfortable at that, like kind of instantaneously. Like it wasn't something that took very long to get warmed up to. Yeah, it was just overall like a dope experience just sitting there playing the game itself, and trying to remember the strategies that i had uh i had um looked up beforehand. So yeah, I definitely had fun. It was I don't even know if I said the casino. It was Mohegan Sun
Nice.
in Connecticut.
Trying to get that
um
sponsorship.
yeah, well, I don't know if I want them hearing I was researching card counting. But yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, that spot's relatively dope. They got a nice mall there as well.
Yeah, tons of stores, tons of stores and places to eat.
Dope, dope. And as for myself, I also had a nice little outing last week. Went and saw Beetlejuice. I'm always slandering pretty much everything, but there have been a couple, at least interesting movies that come out. Also, that Alien movie was something I have some level of interest in, even though the last few Alien movies previously were stinkers. Anyway, so the TLDR, because you got to give reviews without spoiling stuff, is personally, it did feel a bit doing it for the sake of obviously the time of season that it is, and also we can get a quick buck. It didn't really seem like it was anything to like they were putting their heart and soul into it. Obviously, salute to Tim Burton still, but yeah, it wasn't really all that. And that's how I would leave it if it wasn't for that whole legend Michael Keaton. I'm gonna be honest, he's crazy. Like I'm watching the movie and I'm not really into the plot or the characters or anything that's going on. But as soon as Michael Keaton's on that screen, I'm smiling. I'm like enjoying myself all of a sudden. Yeah, and it's really one of those cases where like one great actor can make a movie. Absolutely phenomenal. So, I definitely would still recommend. I mean, this is more so just a review, but it's definitely a movie worth watching. Maybe you might want to, wait till it's on HBO Max, Netflix type joint, but it's still a great movie. And if nothing else, it makes you really want to go back and see the original, which I haven't done yet, but I really want to do that. So, yeah. So again, salute to Michael Keaton, salute to Tim Burton. Yeah, and salute to Winona Ryder. Not necessarily for their acting in this, but they were that cool goth girl back in the day. But anyway, warm reviews and content recommendations. Outside of music, aside, if there's nothing else, we get into the topics. Let me go back here while you pull that up, Ace. Get rid of this and get rid of my thing. There you go. Okay. And hopefully the names are in order, but they're not going to be like usual. There's a couple links regarding that topic, but you can go through it one at a time. Although we won't spend too much time in this first part. Okay, so hopefully this works. Actually, the names are right. They're just kind of shifted up. See if I can fix this super quick. Oops, don't go away. Yeah, let's bring you guys down a little bit so you can see us, even though we're not really the most important part here. Anyway, so I saw this recently, and somebody posted a screenshot on X/Twitter of this kind of trending topic of discussion of male hobbies, and specifically the least attractive male hobbies, obviously according to women. So on this little news they were talking about this, and according to this, the top 5 least. I use it whenever we're talking about the top five something that's the worst. I like to say the bottom 5, but the top 5 least attractive male hobbies, according to women, are 1. And let's see how many. Come on, hold y'all fingers up. How many y'all can are under y'all belts? Playing video games, collecting figurines. Do I have any figurines? I don't think so. Crypto. Having crypto as a hobby is a bit strange.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
But
bro.
who here got cryptocurrency? Come on, put them fingers up. Damn, not even a bit. We need.
I think
Wes.
no. If Wes was
Wes
here,
is here.
he had one bit. I think he might have sold it, but he had one bit.
He has a.
He doesn't
has
even
some
count
Bitcoin.
though. Yeah, he had one. Like he bought it back when it was cheap and just held it for value.
Online.
That's not what this is talking about.
Online trolling.
I don't know. That's a crazy.
What is
one.
that?
That's a wild hobby.
Is it just like if you have a Twitter account?
Nah, it's like it's got to be people that go in the comments and just like say wild stuff to get people upset.
Basically,
that's not a hobby, bro.
Basically, some of the people that even
the fact that it's here, maybe it is a hobby. Like,
and last but not least,
crazy.
I guess you can now put your finger up. Yes, gambling. So
yeah. I don't know if I'd say it's a hobby necessarily, but yeah, I'd classify that.
And honestly, the only thing, and I think a lot of people's mind of like hobby, like something you do consistently, really only feels like video games. Like I guess collecting, that is kind of a hobby, but once you collect the things, you just kind of have them around. Maybe you clean them, but you don't honestly.
I feel like they're talking about a very specific type of figurine, to be honest.
Fair enough. Anyway, so yeah, this has been going around. It's been obviously causing all type of conversation and debates because why? Just because I'm hopping on 2K or Street Fighter or Smash or what's that game y'all been playing?
Risk of Rain.
Risk of Rain.
I was gonna say Fighting Field or something nonsense. Or Sparking Zero. Salute to Sparking Zero. That's unattractive to women. So yeah, it's been causing a lot of debate. So when I saw this, and I don't honestly think too much of it. But I wanted to know like some of the more concrete data of it because this is just a screenshot. And we could stay here in a while, but to be honest, I want to go to the other link I pulled because I was trying to find where this data came from. Like, is it some like what were the range of the women? Like, and obviously it's probably relatively younger women, maybe even older women have these type of mentalities. But the TLDR is, even though this, I think this is safe to say this is relatively credible, and it has to be if it's on the news, you would think. I couldn't necessarily find verbatim like this list, but I did find something that's akin to it. Like, and I'm pretty sure what is still directly or slash indirectly led to this screenshot. Pull up the next link, and
Real
then
quick, I just want to say that everything on the screen right now is hilarious. Like,
Yeah, like that image.
it's,
I was gonna say that.
yeah,
What do you
Bro.
mean?
it's do with the giant Oculus on his head,
Guys playing
and this
VR.
guy's comment too is like hilarious. Few good thing I just played Yu-Gi-Oh. Like that's
Oh yeah.
great.
I didn't even notice that.
So the team APS. That's why I came across my timeline. So to all
So
the
good.
people that enjoy good TCG.
I can't get over this picture, bro. It's so.
So the most and least attractive was kind of buggy. Attractive male hobbies according to women. So scroll down. Keep going, keep going. Let's get past all the
Ads are
literally
crazy, bro.
exactly brain rotting ads. So here we go. This is the most concise thing I could find for a recent gauge on attractive hobbies that men can have according to them. And again, some of it falls in line with what's on the other one, but it's a bit different. So according to this, the least attractive hobbies to women are comic book, I'm assuming collecting, or maybe reading, cosplaying. If you're a guy that cosplays, women don't like that. Debating, holy shite.
That doesn't even that. I think that's just women don't like arguments or.
I think we just lost some attractive points when it comes to women. Drinking, uh, that's a wild hobby to have, but some people do engage in drinking
Yeah,
frequently.
yeah, that's understandable.
MTG, for those who are not familiar with it, that's Magic the Gathering, and I think that's I think that just kind of falls in the pool of card games because I'm sure women aren't unattracted to MTG, but they're attracted to Pokemon, the TCG. I think all TCGs are probably going to be in that category. Anime, damn, that hurts my entire heart. There's a lot of female anime watchers out there too. It's a crazy part. Makeup.
Damn, that is.
Was
Crazy.
this survey done in
Makeup?
Never mind.
That's weird.
The
So
fact that
who did
makeup and
this survey?
cosplay are so high, I feel like this is a very
that's when
targeted demographic.
That's when it gets confusing. Crypto again. So the data
Damn,
shows that
okay.
the data shows that women don't like when guys are into crypto. Cigars, I guess that's kind of akin to drinking.
Drinking, yeah, I think
It's a very specific.
Clubbing,
which that's an ironic one because that's where you'll probably meet a lot of women. Marijuana, so women don't like when you smoke too much butt hash. Funko. Now this is the only one I'm not so sure about. Do they mean Funko Pops?
Yeah,
I think so.
I've heard of Funko Pops, but maybe they just mean collecting.
I mean, I get it. Funko Pops are weird as hell to me. I do not understand.
Funko Pops. It's just the little figurines you always see when you go into the F5 store.
I hate that they're so uniform. Like it's okay. We're not gonna go into Funko Pops.
Hey, maybe you can relate. would you think a woman's less attractive if they had a wallet full of Funko Pops? What are you saying?
It's possible, but let's continue.
Arguing online. So if you're always in people, if, like kind of what we're saying, if you're always trolling or going back and forth online, we don't like that. Pornography. That I'm surprised that's not further.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it's not as well. Yeah.
If for all ladies out there, if you're interacting with a guy and he's consuming pornography at a rate in which it's classified as a hobby, that's a big problem. Let me tell you that right there. Like the other one said before, gambling, it's kind of lower, but it's still top 15. And the last but not least, this is again kind of a confusing one because it's more of a noun than a thing you do, but a manosphere. So I guess interacting with male-dominated spaces.
I have never heard of this in my life.
You never heard of the manosphere?
No, I have no clue what this is.
That's crazy.
I guess
that's a diverse collection of websites, blogs, and online forums promoting masculinity, misogyny, and potion. Okay, so 4chan. Got
I
it.
mean, I never heard of the manosphere. No, I'm just joking.
You know what I will say? This has nothing to do with anything. I like the fact that you looked at something, you didn't know what it was, and you immediately looked it up. A lot of people will not look things up, and I think we should do that more. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, interestingly enough, video games are on this one, but I think it's arguably safe to say. I feel as if you pull up another one, and there's probably many the data references that go into like what people consider attractive hobbies and least attractive hobbies. I think video games, or they must have just missed it on this one, or it's combined with another one because
Yeah,
I think
comic books being one is kind of interesting.
I think historic.
I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Pop the Balloon because I could have guessed a lot of these.
Oh my gosh!
You give it a fucking shout out.
Jesus Christ! Being a
The biggest Pop the Balloon defender of all time, bro. Like,
anyway, so yeah, I was gonna add. So video games historically have always been looked at as like a unattractive trait, unless you're doing it at a highly competitive level, and even then, like,
I feel like that might make it more unattractive, to be honest. Like, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm a competitive gamer, and
well, if not if you
like,
say it, if they see you like winning money from it, like winning awards from it.
Yeah, I guess if you're big enough, yeah, it's a little different. But
like if you're a Daigo,
competitive Smash player, and
then you want to say you're a professional player. If you're just a streamer that streams in front of how many people, whoever's watching us right now, don't go online. don't go online and say you're a professional gamer. But anyway, maybe this is just some, in case you didn't know, in case you missed it, but I don't know. Looking at the data, does this could y'all ever imagine being more discreet or even not engaging in something, a hobby that you enjoy, if you found out that a woman overwhelmingly found it unattractive? And obviously, we're being relatively facetious, but what do you think about that, Ace?
In my mind, I'm kind of going back and forth about it. Like video games being the most prevalent for me. On the one hand, I could kind of see myself wanting to downplay how much I'm into video games overall, but at the same time, I don't think, like, if it's not something that I would be willing to give up because it's a problem for me, like it takes away too much of my time, then I wouldn't want to deceive this person and make them think I'm not into video games or whatever. If I am, like, if I'm going to still be playing video games, if I don't see myself stopping, then it doesn't really make sense to downplay it and then have to say, later.
By the way,
they see me. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
wait till you get married and drop it.
Right. Yeah, it's like, come on, it's a recipe for disaster. So,
what I can imagine. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. That was.
What I can imagine is a relatively common scenario. So imagine you're like on an outing, or maybe you're just with your with a group of friends, and like you're talking with a person. You haven't really talked about what you do for your interests, but before you even start talking about what you do, like this, like, what I can't stand, I just cannot stand a guy that plays video games. One time I was with this guy and all he did was play video games 24/7. Well, what would you say? Would you be like?
Yeah, I would be like, yeah. I don't play 24/7.
Yeah,
but I do play.
Like, I probably do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously, it's not like anyone ashamed of, but full transparency, we are all like historic gamers. Like, we all putting thousands of hours into the respective games that we enjoy on here. What about you guys?
Dave, you putting that on all of us?
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't, but
you know what? No, never mind.
I'll speak for myself. Right. I've definitely put in thousands of hours.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about
in more
Halo.
Recent,
yes, yeah.
In more recent times, I don't play as much games, but throughout my life, yeah, I've been a gamer.
Yeah.
I've participated in tournaments and won money. But my
you have?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Back in the Brawl
days, what?
bro.
What? I didn't know this.
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah,
Damn, you don't like that?
those are the good days. I was into it, man.
Mopping out locals? Oh
I
shit!
literally went from school to the video game shop, and we were in it.
Dang, I didn't know this.
The only
Dropping
thing
some
that
lore. That's
the only
dope.
thing the only thing that would suck is like as nice as I was, quote unquote, like I was nice like in the mix of like the people that are local,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
to that
Not
area.
like
So every
national.
once in a while there would be some OG that comes to the store, and he's just better than like by like by miles. He's just way better. So it's that weird interaction with like we're all just like 13-year-old punks, and this guy's like a whole like old OG like playing games and beating us. Anyway, that aside, I had to get that out the way. What about you, Ghost? Now that you know the things that women largely find unattractive, if just knowing that would that make you be more discreet, maybe even just flat out hide your hobbies?
Um, I would say probably not. Like for certain, it it does depend on the hobby. Like for certain things, like that are my hobbies, like read and listen to music, stuff like that. That's that's something that's like, if you don't rock with that, then I don't know how much farther our relationship's gonna progress. As far as video games specifically go, because I very much understand why it would be a deal breaker for a lot of women. I feel like I don't think I would categorize myself as someone that plays video games every day enough for it to be like a consistent hobby. I used to, but there's like a very specific archetype I'm thinking of where like you're sitting on COD or 2K just yelling at people online for hours on hours, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been on both ends of that as the listener and the player. And
Jeez.
even when I'm playing, I'd be like, I gotta relax because I just get too wrapped up in it. And just sitting there listening to someone doing that for hours, I can 100% see why it would not be attractive. So I definitely wouldn't say like, oh, I never play games or something, or just like downplay it to the point where like, oh, I used to but I never do it anymore, because it's not true. But I would at least qualify like that, yeah, I play games but I fall under such and such umbrella, in that like I'm not losing my mind every time I'm playing, and like I do it for fun, but it's
Yeah.
not an obsession. But yeah,
Yeah.
generally I'm for my other hobbies, it's I would happily claim them without any reservations.
Yeah. And that's honestly really realistically that's how it should be. Like you should always be trying to just find somebody who maybe they don't have to be in love with your hobbies, but obviously they don't have a aversion to them. Again, some of these things on this list, the drinking, the clubbing, the pornography, that's is kind of red flaggish, but hey man.
I'm
But
actually I'm extremely surprised comic books is at the top. Like that's kind of
That's why I feel like
baffling
this.
to me.
I don't. What did they say? Where this survey was uh conducted? Like what demographic? I'm just curious.
I don't know if they got into the nitty gritty of the demographic, but they
It just
do.
doesn't even sound like a something
They
Like,
do
I
a
mean,
say
even if they
modern
said
woman would
manga, I think
say.
that would
Like,
be more.
if you scroll up to the top,
mm,
uh, there we go.
like a sort of-
800 participants. Okay.
So this first survey
I mean,
by
I guess they gave them. They probably gave
Yeah, I
Psychology
them.
guess
was
that does
sampled
make
over
it a
800
little
participants,
different.
asked them to evaluate 74 male hobbies, while men were tasked with predicting what women might find attractive in or unattractive. So that's your sample size. And speaking of that, this article or this data actually gives you the cheat code. So say you're a guy out there, your main priority is to be attracted to women. Well, this is a cheat code. Scroll down because not only do they provide the least attractive hobbies, they provide the most
Oh, there you
attractive
go,
hobbies.
Ghost.
They
So,
seen
and,
something like this, and yeah, this tracks
so
for
if
all
you're
the
a guy out
data.
there and you're looking for a new hobby that's also going to get you some points with the women, The top 15 attractive hobbies to women are reading foreign languages.
Jesus.
You know the funny thing, and I
I'm
think you
assuming
were
that
gonna
just
say the same
means-
thing, Ace.
No,
I'm assuming that just means learning new languages.
this is
Oh, wait.
crazy.
Playing instruments. Hey, Ace, you play a guitar sometime. Cooking. A lot of women will be impressed when you know how to cook. I'm not gonna cap. As long as you can cook something that's even mildly impressive looking. Woodworking. Holy where's Wes when you need him?
That's the same thing. Yeah, yeah,
And
he's married, so this
And you know what's
tracks with the data.
crazy?
Like
He
he's literally
he
all
covers the
top
top five.
Like, that's...
He literally covers. He reads the most. He literally. I don't want to say directly, but he met his wife through the pursuit of learning another language. He plays instruments the most. He can cook the most. He woodworks. This is literally Wes.
That's actually hilarious.
This is literally Wes, the person. Yo, Wes, if you're listening to this, this is you are attractive to, and obviously so it's a wife. You are attractive to a large majority of women. That's crazy. But also on the list is painting, writing, gardening, swimming, photography, astronomy.
That's shocking.
Yeah, hiking.
That feels like a cheat code one, to be honest. That's not shocking at all to me.
Blacksmithing. What does the average woman know what blacksmithing entails?
They probably think it is.
And traveling. I'm surprised traveling is not higher. Everybody loves to talk about traveling stories these days. Pardon me. But anyway, the moral of the story is, if you are in the category of any of these hobbies, make sure you leave with that.
98.2%.
And salute to Wes. Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. He just literally hits the top 5. That's insane. Wow.
Who knows? Maybe he had this data like way back and tailored his hobbies around.
He was definitely onto something.
That's funny.
And I guess before we round this out, we don't have to get into it, but if you just have the other link readily available, there's actually a more extensive version of this data that actually provides the least and most attractive hobbies a woman can have to male. And
I want to look at that just like it doesn't have to
if you guys have interest, we can look at it real quick. Again,
it's not quick peek. I'm curious.
Some of it is again fall in line with what we just looked at. But I guess we can just look at.
Oh, that's the most attractive to women.
Top hobbies men think women would like. So this is what men thought women would like. A lot of it's the same. Traveling. See, I would think traveling is high too. Keep going.
Yeah, it's pretty much all the same.
This week again. Let me see the least attractive hobbies. Top hobbies men think women don't like, which largely tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Think that. Yeah.
They're right on the nose.
Does it have? I went through this article earlier, and I thought.
Yeah, maybe we just got to keep going because it looks like this is just classifying that.
Activeness of male athletic hobbies.
Attractive male artistic hobbies. Unattractive male vice hobbies. Cultural hobbies.
Jesus.
Survival hobbies.
Yeah, the men. Yeah. Too.
Attractive marital hobbies.
Male martial.
Oh, martial. Sorry, consumer. Maybe I'm capping. I could have sworn. Miscellaneous. Oh, yeah, I guess
there's sex difference.
Yeah, I guess this
that's just comparing the previous data.
I guess this was just based off what male hobbies. I could have sworn. My apologies. Yeah, anyone hype, but yeah, the moral of the story is there's data for everything, and of course there's gonna be data that showcases skateboarding.
Only a little more than 50%. That's not too bad.
Perceived hobby attractiveness. Yo, this is too deep. All right. Yeah, it doesn't have it.
Yeah, there's always gonna be. It's typically always gonna. It probably exists anymore somewhere. Just in this article. My apologies again. But there's always gonna be data that for stuff like this, and If you are interested in knowing where your hobbies fall in line with attractiveness, well, here you go. But obviously the biggest moral story is your things that you genuinely enjoy, and get again, unless it's one of those more deviant hobbies, should always be based off your pleasure in life, and you shouldn't be dictated based off whether it would make you more attractive or less attractive. If you're an attractive male, um, you'll be attractive regardless of what your hobbies are. And this, especially in this modern day and age where you can like find yourself in communities and like get hip to people that have very similar interests. Like it's super easy to find people that are aligned with your hobby. So it's not that big of a deal, but it is good to just be relatively mindful of again, women aren't with that comic book shit in general.
Just one super quick thing just occurred to me. I wonder if the woman that answered the survey, if it's more so the hobbies themselves that women find attractive, or if they think an attractive person would do these hobbies.
I think it's mainly based off. I think it's mainly more so based off the perspective of if you just knew a guy for doing this thing, would you find him
Yeah,
attractive, or would you find him attractive or less attractive? But
Yeah, they should. I hope they pose it that way. Like everything else is like physical appearance and all that is what you like, but he has this hobby.
yeah,
Is it attractive or not?
but the articles will be in the description below if you want to digest them further. If there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Okay, I got the black Twitter. I mean, the black Instagram now, or dark mode rather. Anyway, salute to Hollywood and salute to Jason Lee. In case you missed it, Bath and Body Works apologizes and pulls candles depicting KKK hood-like design. Social media reacts. Uh, so the company is apologizing and pulling candles from its shelves, and the online platform after catching backlash for seemingly depicting a KKK hood-like design on Tuesday, October 8th. Bath and Body Works (BBW) by the way started trending after a user on X posted a screenshot of a candle which showed the company's Snowden scent featuring a snowflake design set against a red backdrop. However, the snowflake design closely mirrored the infamous hoods worn by the Ku Klux Klan. So, the reason why we're talking about this, we are, especially myself, experts of cancel culture. If you're ever wondering why someone's being canceled or some things being canceled, I got the answer, and I'll be able to rightly decipher whether they should be canceled or not. But I also super interested to know whether you guys, what you guys think of it, whether it's just nonsense or whether it looks like some intentional shit. And specifically, if you go to go over one tab, because obviously when you have it right side by side, it looks a bit sus. But if you're just walking down the aisle, you're walking down the candle aisle, you're smelling a bunch of smells. Are y'all? Let's start with that. Are you noticing something sus about this? What do you think, Ghost?
um, I am not immediately equating it to the KKK. I probably wouldn't even really register or pay attention, but if I was for some reason looking at candle designs and I picked up on the fact that it's supposed to be a snowflake, I would be shocked at how bad of a snowflake design this is. Like, uh, what is it? A lattice structure or whatever you call it, and this looks really nothing like what you typically would see. But that aside, I mean, it
Every
might
snowflake is unique.
not like this. I I might maybe notice something, but maybe I take a quick picture, send to y'all, say notice anything, but I wouldn't like really think make too much of it.
What about you, Ace? Keep it a buck, even though it might be one of those things where now that you saw it, you can't unsee it. But if you're just taking a quick glance at this, does this look suspect, or were you not thinking anything of it?
No, I mean, I 100% would not have equated it to KKK hoods. And like you just said, I think my perception is now skewed because
I should
it,
have started on this slide.
ju- yeah, just looking at it, it does kind of look like, I don't know, alien heads to me or something like that. Now, because I'm equating them with the head shape, but I probably wouldn't have even done that in my brain if I just had seen this in the store or something. There's
Right.
no, I mean, yeah, but
Got
yeah,
you.
definitely not KK hoods.
Well, let's see what some of the people online, like they
And
said, were saying.
just to talk about how bad this design is again, even outside of the KKK stuff, like by definition, the
Here you go.
lattice structure of a snowflake is supposed to have six
Yo, what
sides,
the
bro. Like this is not even close. Who did this? Like, sorry, you can
somebody who is
continue. It's
not
just so
familiar with the
bad,
lattice
bro.
structure of a
It's so
snowflake.
bad. I was
It's
doing
probably
better
AI
in
design,
first
to be
grade
honest.
when I was
Board is
doing. We,
blind.
we
That's
all
the
did like
craziest
the
part.
cutouts, right? Like we all did our own unique design, and we knew there was six sides.
Seems like you knew it.
Poor work all around.
Scroll over a
Very,
bit, Ace.
very poor.
Uh, I guess just to give some
Yes,
context. This is what the other
he's had it
Winter
right.
Wonderland theme designs looked like.
Six sides.
Keep going.
Hmm. Okay, okay.
And this is the little description. So specifically for the snowed in one, what what it smells like all day PJs and your favorite nostalgia show. Fragrance notes: creamy buttermint. What is buttermint? Sweet musk and cozy vanilla. So that's what the KKK should smell like. Keep going. So people were saying, "What the actual f?" Bath and Body Works apologizes to remove candle KKK hood like design. Someone said, "Wait, how the f did nobody at Bath and Body Works clock the candle to K?" I like that. I like that.
Dog, they really put that last tweet there. Are you kidding me?
I like that. This is what happens when your company lacks diversity because what the f is
Nah,
What?
this?
Your local
nah.
siren temptress? Like, come on, dog.
That's
She's in
that's the AI one. That's the AI one for sure. Like, there's
bikini
no
too.
way.
Like,
What else?
this
What they got going
irrelevant,
on?
but they couldn't
Someone
find
someone
anyone else.
said Bath and Body Works removing that candle was a necessary move. How did that design even make it to the shelves? This isn't just a branding mistake. It's a reminder of how sensitive cultural symbols can be. Let's hope they take this as a lesson in awareness and responsibility. And I guess the last one we'll look at is how did how did they not see that coming? Glad they took it down though. Sometimes companies really need to double check their designs before dropping them. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to accuse anyone. I don't know if it's a bad look, even though everybody's doing it these days. Um, to be honest, this was some AI shit, bro. They just punched in like snowflake, and the AI popped it up. Like this wasn't anything super. No one put critical thought into this, but I guess you should be double checking if you're using AI. But regardless, now that we've seen the design, the context, and the responses from it, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that Bath and Body Works um, deserved the cancellation? What's the judge? What's the verdict? What do you say?
Bath and Body Works should have been like, "You guys are crazy. No, we're not taking it down. Get over it." Like, this is insane to
That's
me.
a great way to get double cancel.
People are jumping on the bandwagon with this one. That's all it is. Like, it just happened to be seen, or some popular, relatively popular account happened to make the connection, and because of that, Bath and Body Works is getting canceled. This could have happened to for anything. Like, this is to me, it's completely undeserved. Like, it's just foolishness.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And what say you, Ghost? Is the cancellation deserved, or are people tweaking?
Canceling over this is pretty dumb. but I do kind of agree with the comment that says if you had more diversity in your in the department that was deciding to put this branding out, then this probably wouldn't have happened.
But we
And
don't
I
even know if
really
that's true. Like, we don't know if they have
come
diversity
on,
or not.
come on. Like if
What?
we had
What is it?
Uh,
Why would they? Why would they
come
need?
you
Why
come
would they need to have? Why would they need to
as
have an
Ace.
all-white panel to
Nah,
review
nah,
their
nah, nah.
candles?
This is
Their candle
if you
design.
ask
Like,
Ace,
there's no
ask
end.
100 black people, I like 95%, 95 of them would have said, "Oh, this looks like a
No,
KKK hood." Don't
I
you?
don't even know if I
I
believe that.
nah. We
I
we
don't
might
even
have to
know if
do
I
like an
believe.
own internal
oh
little
my gosh.
data
I don't.
survey, but I come on. Okay, if
I
you're not
don't
gonna
know.
say 95, at least like 70%. You give me
It's
that.
not even. It's not even that you can sit. You can pose it like that. It would be. Is there anything off with this candle?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you couldn't
out
even.
of nowhere,
So
70% of black people. Come on, Ace.
I don't
Like,
think so. I don't
yes.
think. I don't
Okay,
think
okay,
so.
okay. This aside, even though I think I'm right, but that's kind of beside the point. I'm really just so offended and pissed at the garbage design and that they couldn't get the six sides thing right. And even if they did, like it's such a bad carve out. The more I think about it with how bad it is, maybe it was some type of subliminal
This
messaging.
guy is on something else completely.
I just we saw the other ones were all good. But yeah, I this aside, uh, yeah, it's not worthy of cancellation. They just need to really take a deep look at their design department and restructure or get some new faces in because they're not doing the
I
best
think
work.
that I don't know. I
Again,
Maybe
I
they
think
use
you're
AI for
right.
that. I don't know. Maybe they did use AI for the branding too.
Yeah,
I'd bet money they
and
use
I
AI.
think you're right in that they could they could have come up with a better design. So I would grant you that, but yeah, I mean, to me, it's just people jumping way out the
I don't.
window.
I feel like if they just like literally just tweeted out like a picture of this within 10 minutes, you'd have black people saying, "Nah, this looks like a KK
All
hood."
right,
Not that they're obligated to do that, but
I'm gonna
it's
push
Well,
just
back.
hey,
it's
I'm
you
gonna
know
kind
push
of
what?
back. I'm gonna push back. And Ace was kind of getting along the lines of this, but what is this implication? Because we don't know if the original user that pointed out was black, brown, or whatever. What's the implication that black people are just inherently better at pointing out what looks like a KKK hood?
humans are better at recognizing threats from things they're being threatened by than people that aren't being threatened by.
I don't think the average black or brown person these
The
days
average black person
think.
isn't actively
Is
being
it-
threatened by the KKK, but every black person, even if they wouldn't recognize this design, has a visceral image of the
Mm,
KKK. They
mm,
can pop it up in their mind, and there's gonna be
Nah,
some negative association. Like,
I
come
think
on.
I think the
anyone,
thing you're
I think
not.
anyone born 2000 past 2000 ain't on that type of time. I'm be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think you're also not considering how much people are kind of looking for this stuff right now too. Like, there's you have this whole like push for diversity from people who aren't even diverse per se, and they just want to like signal that they are, champions of people that are
I don't know.
diverse.
You're saying
So
that,
you
but
have people that are looking for stuff like this that could also be the catalyst for making problems that out of stuff that isn't even a problem to the
if it
people who
was a
would actually
bigger
affect.
company, sure. But no one's trying to cancel, going out of the way to cancel Bath
Yeah,
and Body Works.
no, it's
Come
not that
on,
they're
bro.
trying to cancel Bath and Body Works. It's that they're trying to make themselves look like this
Uh,
savior,
I don't. I mean,
or at least that they're on the good side of history or whatever. And this is the type of
I
stuff that
don't
happens.
know, bro. I think you're overstating it a little, but maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't know the general sentiment of Twitter users nowadays, but I just feel like people aren't trying that hard for. If it was like Starbucks, someone big, yeah, but Bed Bath and Body or Bath and Body
I
Works
don't.
don't care
Yeah, it's
for.
to me, it's not the company; it's the virtual signaling in and of itself. Like I'm the good person that caught the racially insensitive whatever. And not to say that I won't say obviously that a black person or whatever wouldn't have caught it, or you may be right, but there is also that other element where I don't think it can be discounted too, where people are looking for stuff like this to be inflammatory, to get reposts, relikes, feel good about themselves. Like I think that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the last thing, but yeah, I'll just say I and you guys know I largely am in support of diversity, having different cultures and backgrounds in an environment, so you can have different ideas. I don't necessarily know if this would have been just having a diverse group of people would have inherently raised a red flag of this. I will think of like I will say going back to the the H&M coolest monkey in the jungle. I think if you had more black and brown people on your team, they would have caught that the little black boy with the monkey shirt. That would have got caught. But I just personally like I could literally imagine myself in this and not seeing that. And maybe I'm not black enough. I don't know if that's what that means. But this is one of those things where I don't think it was a diversity thing. It was just and the AI spit out something that looked a bit sus and somebody caught it. But not to say that people shouldn't be doing some higher level double checking. People are probably nervous as hell, or companies probably nervous as hell when they put out any type of design. But I digress. So all in all, Bath and Body Works. Nothing wrong with trying to save face and make it look like everything's an accident and take the stance of taking it down. But at the end of the day, y'all could have held your ground on this. I'm be honest with you. People love these type of stories, so y'all wouldn't have gotten canceled. Everyone's saying McDonald's and Starbucks are getting canceled because of what the companies allegedly support. You think Starbucks is losing
No
sleep
one is People say cancel. Like no one's ever gonna stop getting Starbucks
or
for any
McDonald's?
reason ever.
But I digress. If there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Hopefully, I put it in the right order because I want to talk about the Florida stuff. Yes, 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 yes. All right. You have to bear with me on this one, Ace, because I want. This was what I talked about before, where there's going to be some back and forth going to the videos and to the article. Okay. So I want to talk about this a while ago because this is some interesting stuff, and it's obviously in the wake of some unfortunate incidents that, to be honest, have been happening in this country for a while now because of our stance on bearing arms. So we'll start off with this article by CNN. This sheriff is tired of school shooting hoaxes plaguing his county. Here's his message to students. So, spoiler alert, there's some Florida shit. Salute to all my Floridians. Scroll down. So, nice little zoom in. And also, as always, the articles will be posted in the description below if you guys want to read it for yourself. So, a Florida sheriff is tired of bogus school shooting hoaxes plaguing his county. So tired, he's got a slew of strong words and actions ready for students and parents alike. If you make a threat, we're coming after you. Or I should say, quote unquote, we're coming after you. Quote unquote. You don't stand up on an airplane and yell hijack. You don't walk into a movie theater and yell fire, and you don't get online and post that you're going to shoot up a school. Veluza, look at the ad coming through. Can you get rid of that? Volusia County Sheriff Michael Chintwood, hope I'm saying that right, said in a video on social media, quote unquote, it's gonna get your ass sent to jail. Chintwood remarks following the arrest of an 11-year-old middle school student in Port Orange, Florida on Monday, who was being charged with a felony. Or I repeat, an 11-year-old middle school student is being charged with a felony after making a bogus threat to commit a mass shooting at a middle school. Authorities say CNN is not naming the 11-year-old boy, or sorry, I don't know if they even said boy, the 11-year-old who has been charged as a juvenile. So, if you pull up that first, thing, because this is not just like an article. This is real deal happening in Florida, the state of, the great state of Florida. Now,
Wait, the video link, right? Is that what you're
yes,
talking about? Or
yeah, the video
okay.
link. And I guess while you're pulling up the video link, I will say, wait, no, the video link in the
Discord?
Yeah. Or I
Uh,
guess we'll listen to this as well. Some extra. This is probably him actually saying what they said in the article. So yeah, well, while you're pulling it up, heads up, if you're watching it live, salute to all the folks that watch us live. You're obviously just gonna get the unedited video, but once we put it in post, I'm actually probably gonna blur out some of the stuff because and that's kind of the topic of discussion, giving these kids anonymity, even though they're doing relatively heinous or very sus activity. But before we get to that, I guess let's hear what the sheriff had to say. Is this a video?
September 13th, and we're not having a good day in Volusia County. So far, 54 tips have come in through Fortify, Florida, talking about school shootings. All of them have been deemed bogus. We have 2 people in custody. We have another person who we're investigating and probably will take into custody. I can't say this clear. You don't stand up on an airplane and yell hijack. You don't walk into a movie theater and yell fire. And you don't get online and post that you're going to shoot up a school. It's going to get your ass sent to jail. And now, for you parents out there, today's hoax cost around $21,000. There's 2 people in custody. We're coming after you. And starting Monday, your little cherub, we're going to start publishing his face and doing perp walks with him when we take him into custody. And then we're going to show pictures of you, the parents. Because you don't want to raise your kid, Sheriff Chitwood's going to raise them. You think it's a joke, you're going to find your ass in handcuffs, and you're going to find your ass being paraded out in front of the news media behind me, and your parents are going to be filmed as they come to pick you up. So parents, get your kids in line, or your checkbook's going to hurt, and your pride's going to hurt. I promise. Today.
So, sound like the no nonsense type, somewhat respectable, and definitely respectable. And again, in the wake of some of the most unfortunate things that have happened throughout the country. But yeah, this brother wasn't capping one bit. If you pull up the video, he wasn't just capping. He really is about everything he just said. So his first one is in relation to the little boy.
You're gonna be walking over here to the gate over here, all right?
I'll just pause it real quick.
Slow and steady.
So again, since it's gonna be blurred out for some of it, for the audio only listeners, 11-year-old arrested in Florida after bragging about a kill list and showing off his arsenal of weapons. So it's a literally little boy in handcuffs. His butt is going to jail, just like the sheriff said. Go ahead and play it.
What you here for today?
Put that foot down. Let me get the other foot.
They don't just got the handcuffs; they got the foot cuffs.
All right, come on in here. Have a seat in the cell. We're going to gather up some paperwork and get things started for you. Do you have any questions? All right.
What we're going to start doing Monday is, since parents, you don't want to raise your kids, I'm going to start raising them. Every time we make an arrest, your kid's photo is going to be put out there. And if I could do it, I'm going to perp walk your kid so that everybody can see what your kid's up to.
All right, sir. Careful.
Right? You really gotta respect, when somebody says they're gonna do something and they actually do it. I guess I will go through the other one as well because he didn't just do it once; his brother did it twice. Go back to the article real quick. Just to give you guys the full level of context before we actually get into the topic of discussion. Okay, yes. Beyond his striking words, Chitwood is turning heads for his approach for putting students and their parents' names, mugshots, and perp walk videos on social media for all to bear witness, like we just did. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire, he told CNN Wednesday. Under Florida law, I have every right to release the kid's photo, a video of them being arrested, in the police report. And I'm able to come after you, either criminally or civilly, for the cost of an investigation and for endangering the child or endangering the welfare of a child. And then we're going to show pictures of you, the parents, he said, because you don't want to raise your kid, Sheriff Chitwood is going to raise them. Damn. Yeah, you keep going, because there's also one of the two folks. School shooting. There was, yeah. I think these are two. Stay right there. Go scroll up a bit. Okay, let's see here. Chitwood is not allowed through his has not followed through his promise to show students arrested for these threats in at least one case. Oh, yeah, there was one where one person did a hoax that, but then they found out the kid had autism, so it's one thing. But there was these two little badass kids. Some of these kids would really be bad. That went online. They were on Discord. Yo, your kids be on Discord and Snapchat saying some wild things. It does speak about somewhere in this article, but pull up the other video. Sorry for kind of moving around a lot. I just wanted to get you guys like the main highlights, just to show you guys this sheriff in Florida. They ain't playing around no more. And again, with everything that's been happening in the country, some people argue this is the right approach to take to kind of clamp down on people even thinking about making bogus threats. So this one's another one. 2 students arrested for school shooting threats. Let's see what this happens.
Parents, do your job. Don't let Sheriff Chitwood raise your kids. This is absolutely ridiculous. Go talk to the families who have lost a loved one in a school shooting. These little knuckleheads think it's funny. Go talk to those parents and see how funny this is.
I'll go back. Yeah, I'm definitely blurring this right. Like, this is what kids are doing. What is the point of this? Keep going.
This is.
Think you made a wise decision today? No, man, you gotta be better than that. Your life's not over, but it's just starting, man. You kids have to start thinking, and when you go to school,
At least they give them OG talks.
that's it. Okay?
And cuffs on them.
And have a seat. When we're ready for you, we're gonna come get you. I'm gonna process you, all right? Any questions, man? Okay.
Perp walking them. All right. So now that you got the full context, this sheriff isn't BSing. Obviously, while this, you got to respect them for following through on what they said they were going to do, there is a point of contention with this, primarily being that these are incredibly young kids. The first little boy is literally 11, and these other 2 kids, I believe they were 14 or 13, still incredibly young, minors. And yeah, I mean, the question really becomes, what do y'all think about this? Are y'all in full support of, kids that are making threats have to be punished, and this is the way you go about it? Or do you think that, or are you, more on the side that we have to protect kids at all costs, and for better or for worse, a part of protecting kids is giving them, that full anonymity, even when they do stuff like this. Who got started last time? I think. What do you think, Ace?
So I think I've been trying to think of this in terms of like, what is this really more likely to stop school shootings than any other potential approach? Like, does this approach have merit towards that goal? And in my perception, part of the I think part of the problem with the mentality of a school shooter is probably that they want attention in some ways. So if you if this is like the attempted solution to make people that even make threats become more public, I don't know how that inherently like gets at the psychology of a school shooter and prevents prevents them from getting what they ultimately want, which is again like attention, acknowledgement that they have been wronged in some way, retaliation. Like, I don't see how this inherently gets at that problem. I do think
What
that.
about if it's
Oh, go ahead.
what about if it's primarily to address the people that are making quote unquote bogus threats, or just, I don't want to say trolling, because I don't really understand the mentality of the youth doing this type of thing. Maybe, I mean, like, they're both
Oh,
they're both conscious of the fact that, this is a thing that happens in our country and we take it very seriously, but they're also not necessarily, we're also at that age not conscious of the severity of it. Because we're not trying to solve, like, what do you do with, like, real deal mass murderers, but I think
yeah,
they're
yeah.
trying to tackle when people are saying these type of things online, but they probably don't actually have intent to proceed with them.
Got it. Yeah, that changes things a bit. That changes things a bit because I was actually thinking they were trying to prevent school shootings by doing this, like by getting at people who are saying they're going to do it as like a threat and trying to get ahead of it. Um, but no, I still think like, okay, so if the intention is just to stop people who are making threats, is there was there um like if the was the penalty before to get arrested already, like just without people being like their faces being shown?
They do like a wellness check. I think if they actually have all the evidence, they actually do bring you in. But yeah, I think the difference in what this sheriff is doing now is specifically putting out your name, face, parents' name, and putting the video on social media. Before, it might have
Hmm.
been you just heard about it on the news and then in the paper.
Hmm.
I don't think you would ever
This is
hear
tough.
about a fake school shooting in the news at all.
If it
I,
made
I really
if it made publicity, let's use
Yeah, a
it.
threat. Yeah, for sure.
no.
For sure.
I think we
For
I
sure.
have.
Like there was a bomb, like especially if the school had to shut down or whatever because of it. Like, of course.
It might be relatively local. I'm not saying it would be national news, but
Right.
if it had the school had to shut down, then I guess. But I'm thinking that because they said there were 54 of these calls. I'm thinking that the process is more so they internally investigate, determine that there's no threat, and then from there, not every situation warrants a full shutdown. In some of the less severe circumstances, I wouldn't imagine get publicized all that often. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what
I
I
mean, you're right. Not
think.
all of them get that level. Like, there's not 54 some odd videos of kids getting taken out of the van and put in cuffs and put in the cell.
Right.
But that is to show that they will do it if they have enough evidence and they get you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm trying to get into the head of the mentality of like a kid who would do like make a threat just whatever out of just being a kid. Um. And I feel like the the repercussion of potentially being arrested is, I feel like it would be just as bad in their mind whether the whether they would, they have the threat of being shown on TV or not. I don't think that would change their mentality for or against making the threat. The only thing is, oh yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't think it would change their mentality. Like if these videos had the kid's face blurred out and the parents' faces blurred out, they didn't say the name, but they did show that a kid got arrested for making the threat. I think the yeah, and another potential um kid's mind, it would have the same effect.
I do see where you're going. I guess could you make the case that it is a bit more like, especially in this day of social media where social media is so prevalent, it would make the kid a bit more embarrassed because I mean they have to go back to they're not going to jail permanently. They're doing their punishment and then they're going back to society. They're going back to school and now all their friends are going to see that stuff.
Maybe.
Not only friends,
Maybe.
everybody around the world, like everybody that bumped into any of those videos, us, anyone that watches this, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Hmm. Maybe there is a social aspect that I'm not catching on to.
But it sounds like you're saying that potentially just the arrest could be punishment enough, to publicize it
Yeah,
the way that they're doing.
just the arrest, just the knowledge, and also just the knowledge that you people are getting arrested. Like if as long as that knowledge is public enough, I don't necessarily I don't necessarily think that that the people's faces need to be shown, but that's based off of just my feeling. Obviously I have no data to back that up.
Yeah, that's what you're
I
saying.
think that's where I land.
And I guess it's not necessarily super critical, but are you just looking at it from like what will solve the overall problem standpoint, or do you have some level of like concern for what could be the negative ramifications for the young kids?
I'm mostly thinking of it from the overall problem perspective. Um as far as the kids themselves are concerned, like I do think, I mean, this obviously shows that there's some they have some um there's something, that needs to be addressed in terms of how they're thinking about things, and um I would want to see like there be some, some type of I don't know, like counseling or something outside of just your kid gets arrested, thrown in jail for a little while and taken out and they're back, back at home, and um nothing really outside of like just they lose some time. Like there should this should be a clear sign that they need some type of, guidance or something like that. And I would hope that along with the arrest that something like that would be provided. Um
I don't want to turn this into a whole
but
thing. It's completely different the topic, but you really think like a little 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy or child, when they do something this egregious, counseling is going to resolve it?
I think it could help. Because like we kind of briefly saw, I mean, it we kind of briefly saw it with that last dude, with the way he was talking to them. It was like, yeah, he's giving them like a
Yeah, but
kind of a
that was coupled with the
parent type
fact of
talk.
all the other stuff, that the arrest, the fact that we're
That's
broadcasting
what I'm
this.
saying. It would be in, like, any type of counseling would obviously be along with the arrest. I'm not saying just, oh, if the kid um makes these, threats, that no arrest, they just are forced into counseling. I think the um I don't want to say humiliation, but the shame of being arrested, put into a jail cell, like that actual visceral experience in addition to like some type of counseling being provided and it being made clear that the the state doesn't want to just label you now, you're a criminal into perpetuity. Like, we see that you are a potential criminal and this is your future. Like, there being some type of indication that that's not what they want for you and that they do want to try to help you in a way, in outside of, just arresting you. Like, I do feel that could be valuable. Obviously, it's going to depend on the kid, and it's going to depend on the counselors that, the quality of the counselors. But I do think that's, that would be valuable as well.
Fair enough. And obviously, I largely, I'm on record and on board with like talking to kids and like having some dialogue from even way younger. But at a certain point, when you're dealing with like young kids, I don't want to get a hot take, but it really does. There has to be some level of physical punishment or punishment that's gonna, like, old school. Like, hey, you're going out to the old country to spend time with grandma and old uncle. Like, you're going back. You're going to Romania, or you're going to like down south to be with your.
Yeah, but the state can't do that. Like, the state can't just send you
Oh no,
with,
no,
to
no.
live with a.
I'm not talking about the state. I'm just talking about like punishment in general, like what parents got to do.
Yeah. The parents are a separate thing. I haven't spoken to
Got you.
what
Got you.
I think the parents should do.
Fair enough. Ghost, what do you think of, now that you've seen all of this? What do you think of this way of going about handling these type of situations, and especially dealing with these young kids? Do you think this is a proper procedure for doing this, or do you think you do have to protect kids no matter how stupid they're being, to be blunt about it? Or maybe you don't even care about the necessary protection of kids. You just don't think it's an effective way to go about it.
Honestly, I am pretty much in 100% agreement with the sheriff and the way that he's going about this situation for a few different reasons. For one, I think if we're looking at it from an aspect of actually stopping school shootings, it's school shootings, I guess, are going to happen pretty much either way, or no matter what people do, just because of the way the school system is set up and a whole lot of other
gun laws are set
factors.
up.
Yeah, so there's really not a whole lot that can be done to curb that, but I do think that to some small extent, seeing a potential school shooter, seeing hard concrete consequences, seeing just the image of this kid sitting in a cell might do something. It probably wouldn't be a whole lot, but it might help a tiny bit in curbing any potential impulse to do something like this. Because I know for myself, a lot of the times when you talk about school shootings, you hear the stories, you maybe see some videos while it's happening that the kids are taken, but I feel like you rarely see the actual consequences after the kid is taken into custody. If he's still living, it's like a lot of times they will blur out their information if they're a juvenile. You don't ever see anything like them being sitting in a jail cell or taken into custody unless it's like a court case or something. That's just my opinion. So I think this might help a little as far as that goes. And then if you're looking at it from a perspective of any non-actual school shooter, but just a kid looking to pose a fake threat, I think this would do a lot to help curb that. Because in my mind, knowing how kids think generally, I feel like maybe there are a few that are attention seeking, like, and they would enjoy the thrill, or however you want to describe it, of being on TV and being broadcasted, all this. But I mean, that this is really up for a child psychologist to get into the depths of it. But I feel like most of these fake incidents are from kids literally just trolling and being, what would be funny? like again, I know how kids think, and a lot of times they just do shit because they think it's funny. And for those kids, before, if it was just a situation where they file a false report and it gets investigated, or the police looks into it and then they say, oh, didn't mean it. The police goes, maybe visits their house or something, or if they are taken into custody, it's like a quick thing where, yeah, they get disciplined in the moment, and their parents are probably, hopefully, upset at them, but they get to move on, and there's no long lasting real consequences, and just because they thought it'll be funny and they did it. But for all of those cases, to see like actual real live, it's a lot different just hearing, oh, you're gonna go to juvenile detention for a day, than to see someone cuffed up, again, broadcast online. And that shit is, unless you were like a special breed of young psychopath that gets off on the attention like a serial killer and wants people to think you're a bad person. Like, most kids, even if they're bad, they don't want to be seen publicly like perceived a certain way. In this, there's no hiding. There's no like, oh, you were in school for X amount of days. What happened? Oh, I just got into trouble with this. Nah, this is, everyone knows exactly what you did, uh, and you kind of have that stigma around you. And again, the knowledge of, yeah, this will follow me around. It is a harsh punishment,
Very
but
damaging.
again, it can be, but it's not like a light thing to do. And I feel like a lot of the time that's what kids think. It's like, oh, just if you're on Snapchat, just type up, "We're gonna shoot up the school." It's something crazy. Kids will say dumb stuff, and maybe this solution isn't the ideal for every single case. Like if someone just drops a random sentence on Discord when they're venting about like, oh, I'm pissed about this, pissed about that, and they say something, it's like a spur of the moment thing. It's a lot different than someone posting weapons and like kind of bragging about it, like it sounded like one of the first kids was doing. But even still, knowing the severity of trouble that you could get into would greatly deter a lot of would-be troublemakers from getting into stuff. Because again, it's most kids, most people, something like this happens, it would be very embarrassing, and like, damn, it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. And knowing what that real life consequences are, and you're sitting in a cell alone and you're cuffed up, and you know that everyone has seen it, just a kid imagining that in their head would be like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this. And if that's the end goal and end result, I think it is a positive. And also the fact that the parents are incorporated in them being broadcast, and when your kid does something stupid like this, the parents get this embarrassment there too, and maybe that will uh, prompt them to start being better parents, and maybe stay up on the discipline and make sure that don't even have something like this in their head, their kids. So yeah, I think in almost every scenario, this is a positive. And again, there is the potential lasting impact that it would have on the kid's life. But hey, do dumb shit, you're gonna get the rewards of what you do. So
Even a little 12-year-old boy that plays
yep,
Call of Duty
yep,
too much, and you know
yep,
he had a bad day at school, so he goes home and he goes on Discord and he says, "I'm about to bomb y'all."
yep, yeah. Because again, you don't know what's real. If for every case where before a kid might have said something they didn't mean it, if that helps cut down on those fake cases, in a real case where someone actually does mean it can get isolated and handled better, because the they know that the consequences are this bad, but they're still saying it anyways. Because if they do plan on doing that, that's again more resources that can go towards stopping it, or uh, less resources that have to be dedicated in other sources looking for potential threats. Where you key on one, focus on it, and you're equipped to handle it better. Yeah, it sucks, but sometimes examples have to be made.
So you are largely right. And spoiler alert, I pretty much agree with you. But you know for a fact that one of the problem with kids in particular is they don't necessarily understand the impact of long lasting consequences. Like, for these kids, they don't necessarily understand that it might be it's 12, we don't know what's gonna happen in the world, but we could be like 10 years down the line. And obviously, while they didn't show these kids names, this kid will be recognized once they start going to college. Hey, weren't you that little boy?
I don't I don't know about that. Like,
I
for
guarantee.
one, like a kid, it would be kind of hard to just like 10 years, 8, 10 years from now, to recognize the same kid on a video.
They do it now. People be getting caught up for doing all type of wild stuff when they were in school, and then when they get on the workforce. Sorry, because I was going to say they catch people doing blackface and all type of saying the N word, saying all doing this stuff. They're catching people.
Well, okay, I guess, but either way, it's going if this is publicized or not, it's going on some type of record where a employer would find out about this. And again, it wouldn't have like the social aspect of being recognized
Yeah,
potentially,
I
but
don't
yeah,
know if
obviously.
they're juvenile. I don't know if that's true.
oh,
Is that true
okay,
that an
but
employer would see that?
That's
I
true.
don't know. I have to
We don't know
ask
off
a
the top.
lawyer.
Yeah, we don't know off the top of my head, but yeah,
But I
that's.
mean,
But
I feel
outside of
like
that,
it'd
whether like an official can find your information, that's fine. We're talking about everybody. Like your literal classmate might bump into you, or your literal coworker might be like, "Hey, this is the kid that back then
uh,
was."
I guess I don't know if like years and years down the line, it might be, it might still be prevalent in their lives, but actions have consequences, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you. This isn't something light, like, oh, you were shoplifting. Nah, you literally threatened people's lives. It's not something to take lightly. And maybe the kids think that it is, and that's part of the problem. But
I mean, I don't. I
it's
think
harsh.
kids. I think you can make
It's
kids take
harsh, but
everything lightly. What name one thing kids take serious?
that's part of the thing too, is that kids don't really understand the long term impact of stuff. But even in the short term, having a video like this out there and getting clowned on by your classmates, like as it happens, and it wasn't happening before, kids will look at that and be like, "Damn, I don't want that to happen to me." So yeah, it's harsh, but I'm with it.
Yeah, no, I really do see your point. Um, the other thing you said, and that goes along with this, although it wasn't in the videos that we specifically saw, and maybe it's not anything controversial, but what do y'all think about the point of parents? Because to be honest, while you could argue these kids' parents aren't the most attentive, if you're being charitable, do you think it's parents should take full blame when if your kid did something like this? Spin it back. What do you think it goes?
Um, I don't know if blame is the right word I would use, because I would say responsibility, because even if you raise your kid perfectly, we all know that
Yeah,
they're their own person. They can do all type of craziness, but a lot of the times these kids are not being disciplined the way they should be, and it leads into them thinking that their actions have no consequences. And if a parent knows and acknowledges, oh, there will be severe consequences, and that will involve my own embarrassment, not just my kids, because again, a lot of these parents, unfortunately, are not the best and are a little selfish, but anything that helps in increasing that level of uh, responsibility the parent has toward the kid's actions and discipline, and saying, yeah, you don't do this, anything helps. So I don't know about fully putting all the blame on them, but hey, it's harsh, but parents, make sure you crack down.
And that's true, but we acknowledge that even the most like attentive parent or even the most caring parent, they might not know what like the
Yeah, that
Discords and like the
yeah,
Snapchats and
that's
some of
definitely
these
true.
like more niche platforms are that kids are making a lot of use of these days.
Yeah, and I'm coming more so from a perspective of make sure the kid doesn't have the inclination to do this in the first place, more so than you need to know everything the kid is doing, because
Mm-hmm.
kids are going to be sneaky,
Yeah.
but they need to be sneaky in ways that are not extremely harmful.
All right, you're right. And what about you, Ace? Do you think if kids are doing this type of BS that the parents should be held accountable as well?
I mean, I think I'm of the same mentality where I'm still not completely sold that this addresses or that in particular making the people um public addresses the problem. Um and like I am more critical of the parents, I think. Like I I do think this is an indicator that, there's issues with discipline at home that are not likely. And I kind of would be more in favor of making the parents public because obviously an adult is going to be um much more like understanding of the ramifications of if they were to see this on TV, so another adult or another parent getting their whole name and everything plastered on the TV, an adult is more likely to understand and appreciate that consequence. But at the same time, um, if the parent is shown, then the kid is like, you're pretty much gonna know who the kid is automatically.
Yeah.
So it it like again, while I think I would be more in favor, it still would kind of go against my overall thinking that I don't know if this is necessarily the solution. Like I don't know if the face of the name need to be shown in order to achieve the same result.
Which is fair, which is fine. Yeah, I do tend to lean a bit more towards what I was saying. I think I don't know if it's just raw humiliation, whether it's shame, whatever category you want to put it in. I think it does have some level of effectiveness, and I think you could obviously again you won't see it on the edited video, but if you see those kids, they do have that face of shamed, and no one knows what's going to be there in the future. But I think I mean just imagine yourself a little boy, in cuffs for some little dumb shit you did. I think think you would understand that, and I think others watching it can might get a sentiment of that this is a no nonsense thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know if there's too much more to say about it. It definitely is one of those situations where, because of the situations that have happened in the past, we do look at these situations, and people are counties and districts across the country are probably looking into all types of methods to crack down on even the the potential for any type of incident. So I'm not surprised. The Florida element of this makes me just chuckle a little bit because it definitely sounds like some hard share Florida shit. But it is a relatively serious thing. I don't know. I've been thinking about redemption or rehabilitation a lot recently. And obviously, maybe it's not necessarily applicable to these kids per se, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely, in general, unless y'all know the crimes that I have known that I think should be exiled, but I do think in general there should be a good path towards like rehabilitation and like making sure people can go back into society and like be like not ostracized, but they feel the full sense of accountability. So Yeah, this is one of those things where it's definitely an idea, and it will. We'll have to wait and see if it's effective or not. But
Yeah, but there's definitely like there's no rehabilitation in terms of the public. Like if your name and face is shown, that's all that's needed for for that possibility to be nil. Like in terms of ostracization.
I don't. I, it would
and when I
definitely
and when
be
I say
public
that
embarrassment, but
real
it's
quick,
not like the kid actually shut up the school. Like,
and when I say that, I do mean on all sides. I do mean like society kind of has to morph itself into one where like people can come back and like they did they did the time, so we don't have to like slander them every 6 months.
dog, you say you're acting
Yeah, you
like
can have an idea.
they can
No,
be
no.
ostracized, but they actually. I think people would understand they didn't actually commit a crime. Like, it's not like
I'm just
pariahs.
talking in terms.
I'm not
just
talking on
addressing.
a specific thing.
Oh, just
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
But even though Florida is the craziest state in all of America, salute to Florida. You know, they're going through a lot right now, so you gotta give a salute. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Let's switch screens again. Let me go here for a second. Pull up this. This is a heavy sigh, one of those old A sighs. I really, and I don't know if there's any way to convince people, but I really have literally no interest in coming on here and making this a gossip podcast, a blog. Like, I really am interested in more. I mean, obviously, you know, if it's funny, but I really am more interested in, like, you know, relatively nothing to do with anything, topics or stories that we have deeper conversations about. But obviously, in case you missed it, celebrity couple DDG and Halle Bailey separated. Obviously, they had a child recently, and everyone and their mother is talking about it. And again, I don't necessarily have any particular interest in this outside of the fact that I said on record, even when she first got pregnant, homeboy definitely trapped her. We were having an interesting conversation beforehand about what it really means to trap somebody, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, you probably heard it. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's slandering homeboy a million miles an hour. Again, I don't necessarily have any interest in that. But him being an influencer, a content creator, a streamer, and he has his podcast. He's you know, building up, and just, you know, this brother's when something happens in DG's life, you hear about it. He's very vocal. He's very transparent. I can relate. And so a lot of people are clowning him and, you know, again, trying to get him out the park or trying to laugh him out the park, and just are not happy with him because he's going on and really kind of speaking about his life, his perspective, still being, you could argue, respectable towards, like, you know, homegirl, but he's talking. He's like, it's not one situation where people break up and then they just kind of go separate ways. He's talking. He's streaming. He just the other day. He was doing some haunted house dumb shit. But anyway, the reason why we're talking about it is because in the midst of a conversation he was having, to be honest, not even directly mentioning his life and his situation, but giving his view on, you know, potentiality for the justification for why things ended. Also, his view on relationships in general. That's why it's here today. So that's just some context, but really this conversation that he's having is really independent from anything. And I'm super curious to know what your thoughts are on it. And at the end of this topic, I usually kind of reserve myself from giving some super hot takes, but I got some game to bring out. But let's listen to what the brother had to say.
I can tell myself something at age 22. I would tell myself not to get in a relationship because it's damn near like having a part-time job, bro. Yeah. You really have to apply a lot of time and effort. Like you might be doing videos all day and your girl get an attitude when you're doing your last video, like, nigga, when you gonna take me out to eat?
Yeah.
When you gonna take me to the movies? When we gonna go on a date? And then it causes relationship problems in your real life that can affect your content. You might get mad, get in an argument. You might not want to film the next day. Might not want to stream the next day. Might not want to go to the studio the next day. Whatever. Like, so I would tell myself, if I was 22, I would say, bro, just grind it out. Let a relationship happen.
Yeah.
But only happen when you feel comfortable in yourself as a man. Like, I feel like you shouldn't get in a relationship until you feel like a nigga can't DM your girl and take your girl. Like, if you feel like it's a nigga out there that's more lit than you.
That sad music really necessary?
Yeah, there's so many things to bring up. I'll try to be like relatively quick, but oh man, you can pick this apart 11 Ways to Sunday. So yeah, obviously the sad piano music in the background, that's total bullshit. Obviously, not that he added it, but the person adding it is super annoying. He speaks on the fact that he wouldn't recommend young men. I don't know if it applies to women, but young men get into relationships when you're on your initial grind. Because of the fact that because of that dynamic of like young men in general will kind of bump into this dynamic where they are working or they want to work so they can build themselves up and be established. But if you are interacting with the person, they're still going to want to have that romantic interaction, that breeds a loving relationship. But because you might be so focused on your work, you might not have time for that. But if you don't have time for that, then that person might kind of start to annoy you, and then you getting annoyed might lead you to not be productive in your other avenues. So that's just the gist of what he's saying. I think, even though we're on a podcast right now, I think this is probably missing a lot of people, because while the overall message makes a level of sense, look at the things he's talking about. Going to the studio, streaming, like filming. Like he's talking about things in entertainment industry, and obviously what he knows. But I don't know. It would have been more. He probably would hit the mark a bit more if he was talking about the average person who was just working a job. And I think obviously one of the biggest things from this clip is also the fact that, and again, I understand it from his perspective, but it's kind of interesting that he would frame this as a general. Maybe he's just talking about people in entertainment industry. The concept of you shouldn't get in a relationship until you feel nobody can DM your wife, your significant other, your girl, and they might leave you. Yeah, I guess before we listen to anything else, so what do we start to think of? I know there's a lot. What do we? Are you in general agreeing? Are you shaking your head to this, or nodding your head to this, or are you kind of not what he's saying? What do you think, Ghost?
I'm trying to take myself out of a hating mindset.
Okay.
In general, so overall, I'd say what he was saying is not wrong.
Okay.
To me, a lot of the stuff seemed obvious, but again, I'm trying not to hate. Like the whole thing about
you think it's obvious that young men shouldn't get in relationships?
No, I should clarify, when he was talking about like what's required when you're in a relationship, like it's kind of like a part-time job, getting to argument can affect your mental well-being because you could be wrapped up in something and then your girls ask you where you at, this and that part, I mean, it's correct, but like even just extrapolating it out to like people with a 9 to 5 regular job, is that not like, I don't want to say, for me it's kind of obvious, but again, he's saying if he could go back to tell his 22-year-old self, this is 5 years later, I guess, if he's 27 now, so
I think he's like 27.
I'm just going off of what your baby daddy 69 is saying on the Instagram.
Yo, this is mad funny.
For the
I
future.
don't know how old the brother actually is. I'm assuming that's accurate. So, with that in mind, again, if it sounded like he did not have that in his mind when he was getting into a relationship or relationships a few years ago. So, I don't have a problem in general with what he was saying. Again, trying not to hate here.
You think young people understand the work and dedication and effort it takes for relationships?
A lot of young people do not, but when he said he's 22, I mean, you kind of should, if I'm being honest. I'm not trying to again, not trying to hate. So it's not automatic like a given. Like you know exactly what to expect when you're in a relationship, and that is like even if you have an idea and you think that you know what it takes, it's still gonna be things that you don't expect that will surprise you, and that will put things in perspective.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like if you think you're gonna go into a relationship and just kind of like half-ass it and it'll be something casual, this and that, then uh, you kind of shouldn't be getting into a relationship, a serious official relationship, until until you know and understand that. uh, but yeah, his whole thing about you shouldn't be getting into a relationship if someone can DM your girl. That again, this is kind of like a different. He's with someone who's like extremely well known, famous. That this is kind of a different realm
Yeah.
where theoretically, I mean, who's to say what is going to happen in the future? But obviously, for myself, I don't imagine myself getting into a relationship with someone that's like ultra famous and popular. But there should be some level of security and confidence, I think, in yourself, but in the relationship in the woman that you're with. That even if someone that was like, if I don't know why Jay-Z popped in my head, but if a billionaire DM'd your girl and was saying, "Yo, ditch the dude that you're with now," you should have security in the relationship, even if you are not on that level of a millionaire. That, for one, you know that you can provide what's necessary, and you're providing enough to her that she's not just gonna say, "Yeah, sure, what's the next private jet? Let me fly me out to New York." But there also needs to be trust in your partner in that she wouldn't do that. And it sounds like, again, if you're looking at it just from an individual perspective on how you are set up, and you're not really looking at the two sides, I think there's an issue there as well, because it shouldn't just be, okay, I now have a higher net worth than this dude, so now I should be secure. And if someone messages my girl, then she won't dump me for someone else. So I think it's not necessarily healthy just look at it from one side, but I kind of get what you're saying with that as well. So
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. And then how about yourself, Ace? Based off what the brother DDG saying, are you rocking with it for the most part, or are you like he not that in it? Cause
No, for the most part, I'm perfectly fine with what he said. I don't really have much of an issue with it at all.
again, I'm gonna ask the question: do you think young men should get relationships?
Um, yeah. So this is something I've talked to with my dad, uh, about a bit, and like, while I do understand what he's saying about, it's a full time job, and um,
It's a
you.
part time, but
Oh, sorry, yeah. But it's obviously it's something that requires a lot of dedication, both time, mentally, like spiritually. Like it's it's something that you can't really just
what about the
put down.
non-spiritual
Or
people?
would you say?
Sorry, I'm just making a joke. What about the non-spiritual people? They can't be in relationships.
Oh yeah, if you're not spiritual, then mentally and time based.
Sorry.
But yeah, and so yeah, that is true. Um, but I don't know, like one thing my dad has relayed based on his own life is like how while he got into, he got married at a very young age.
That's what our parents did.
Yep, and
And
I was
grandparents.
born, yeah, and I was
And
born
great grandparents.
when my parents were very young. Um, one of the things that he looks back on as a positive is that even though his life became much more complex and there was a lot to manage, it kind of it pushed him to become like the man that he became and the provider that he was able to become. And without that motivation, or without that without a wife and a family to, I mean, and yeah, and a family to provide for, um it's not like, I don't know, it's just something that, he's not, you can't be as certain as of like, well, if I didn't have this motivation, would I have pushed as hard as I did? Would I have um become the man that I am? Because I, without that, without that that motivator. So um I think like all that is just to say that there are definitely positives to being able to step up to the plate and become, I mean, and take on the role of a husband and a father. um but it's only if you are actually willing um to buckle down and understand um the ramifications of that role, like
Which is something we should
um
promote, right?
yeah, we should.
Okay.
um so yeah, like with him saying he wouldn't have encouraged his younger self to get into the relationship, um it's like I can see both sides of the coin, where I get why he's saying it, because he doesn't think he was prepared to take on the that role of, or whatever, the part-time job, however you want to put it. um Same time, like you just said, I do think it's something that should be encouraged, as opposed to just saying, okay, flat out across the board, until you're 30, you shouldn't get married. I think it should be more so, um like ideally, parents would raise their children such that at that younger age they can, they do have the confidence to be able to get married, even if they're not, in their final career with the house and all this stuff. Like, that stuff can come if the that young adult has been prepared from a young age to be able to take on those responsibilities, um and to grow with their spouse and their family as it comes. So yeah, those are my general thoughts. And then as far as the DMing stuff, like, I don't know if he, because we kind of cut it off there, I don't know if he was necessarily saying that, you know the whole point of that was that you have to have a wealth status to where, or physical slash wealth status to where no other um guy could text your woman and or DM your woman. And um
What other factors would uh inter- interfere with somebody leaving you?
I don't, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, if the video is gonna continue, then we'll see. But to like my thoughts on it are that it's not necessarily that there's any factors that you should be like mentally competing with other men for. It's that you should
You're
have
always
the
competing with other men.
mentality. It's that you should have the mentality that, um like, you have confidence in yourself and your wealth status and your ability to provide for your woman, such that if another man if another man DMs her, whether that man has is more wealthy or is more physically attractive or whatever, it's there's a like the you have the confidence in yourself that you've provided for her to the best of your ability. There's no there, and it's not something that you've stopped in. It's something that you're continuing to try to grow in. But it's not. But yeah, that I think that's the way I understand it more so is that there has to be a confidence level. There has to be a mental preparedness level to again like provide for a woman um to the point where you have the confidence again that if she were to or if somebody else were to DM her, you feel that you've provided enough to where she would not be tempted because of just again those different factors.
Okay, that sounds good. But if your confidence is based off the fact that you can protect and provide, well, if somebody else can provide, protect and provide better, or put that woman in a better status of life, wouldn't that math just equal out to there should be a level of concern?
Um, no.
You're saying, hey, you should be confident in your ability to protect and provide, which is all good and
Hmm.
well. But if so, and that's based off what you can, with your resources, your status, your skills, your abilities in life. So if there is someone that has greater stats than you in those departments, then confidence is one thing, but isn't that don't you just have to acknowledge that hey, there is this is a potential, this is a possibility
Um, Wait a second. So
because we're talking about things that there can be a higher or lower to.
yeah,
Like there's somebody that can always provide for your significant other more so. I guess
yeah.
there's a somebody at the top of that list. But
Yeah, okay. So I guess uh, that's why I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure if he's going where I'm thinking he's going because the what you're pointing out is like an issue with the logic of thinking that you're going to be able to get to the status that nobody else will be able to DM your girl that has
okay,
a
I think I see what
greater
you're saying.
status than you. So, like, if you're
But
able to acknowledge
you can
that
get to
it's impossible,
but you can get to a point where it's statistically improbable.
I guess maybe that's where he's going. Make it statistically
I mean,
improbable.
he doesn't believe
Um,
he's going to be the richest man alive.
that's what I'm saying. So, like, if he doesn't believe that, then what else could he mean? Like, there has to be more
You
to
get
what he's
close to it.
saying. Okay, maybe that's what he's saying. I'm just saying, I like because there is a logical issue there. My thought would have been it's not necessarily that you have to have the wealth or the most wealth or whatever, the most status. It's that you have to have the confidence in yourself that regardless of that, your girl is not going to
So what do
be
you have to have?
tempted to step out of the out of the relationship.
So what do you have to have?
I just said it. You have to have the confidence in what you have now and your ability to grow in that,
But your
like to
confidence
not
is
become
based off.
stagnant.
But your confidence is based off these metrics.
Not solely. I Your confidence is based on your your drive to like continue to better improve your life and the life of your woman. So, for example, somebody that is getting into a
I
relationship
mean, what if
at a young age,
what if we're
doesn't
talking about
have
a
a
homeless
house,
person that has
doesn't
that
have a
drive?
car. Say it again.
What if we're talking about a complete homeless person that has that drive?
That's what I'm saying. Are you gonna? I'm not gonna say a homeless person can't get married because they're homeless, or yeah, or I mean, homeless is pretty extreme, but um,
Fine,
whatever.
fine.
If you're if
An extremely like broke college student.
exactly, I'm not gonna say a broke college student, a
Well,
unwealthy
before we
person.
get to the marriage part, because I know that is the end result we're talking about, but we're just focused on what could make a person a male assured that they can find a partner in this scenario that DJ is expounding on is not foreseeable, whether it's likely or unlikely. You're saying the things we're originally talking about, you were originally saying, are things based off relative metrics that somebody can have higher or lower than you. So, and you're saying those aren't the only things. So I'm asking, what are other things? You mentioned drive, but it seemed like drive was one of those things where unless it's manifesting, or you wouldn't tell somebody to bank on that, would you?
I mean, yeah, not unless it's manifesting.
Okay, so the broke college student is probably not manifesting,
I mean, they're in college,
and
so they're trying to educate themselves to get to a point where they are able to provide for themselves financially, uh, provide for a family. Like there is potential thing manifesting that.
I
Their
don't think
grades,
people.
like
I don't think people look at the average college student as that is a person with drive, and especially not from a like an attraction standpoint.
I mean, sure, you could say that, but that doesn't negate the fact that it it is possible. Like it is possible to be a college student that is struggling to better themselves in life, that and that is putting their best effort forth to get to a get to where they want to be in life. So
And you're saying having
that person,
confidence in that mentality is something that you can bank on for this person not leaving you.
I think so. I mean, I think so. Again, like just like Ghost was saying, you can't you can't control necessarily like what the woman is going to do. Like you can't literally put mind control on them to say they're never going, like they're never going to entertain or whatever, or somebody else that DMs them. But the um what you can control is their perception of you and your like again ability to provide for them, or potential ability to provide for them, based on what you are doing now. So if you're not confident in that, if you don't believe that you know you're going to have the ability to provide for them, or that you're striving to become better in life in general, and you think, like, you acknowledge that you're stagnant in whatever ways, then um you are not at the point where you have the confidence to like be, for lack of a better way to put it, just be attractive to a woman.
I actually can get on board with what you're saying. Um, I think nobody would argue that drive, ambition, motivation, is an attractive feature, um, in a male, to a woman. Um, it is one of those things that, for better or for worse, is something that's more so a mindset. So you can't always like determine it based off an actual person's actual like state of reality. Again, the example of a broke college student. This person could, in theory, have a tremendous amount of drive, but for that like 4 years, it might not really look like it. Outside, like you said, maybe his grades are really good, but you try to show a baddie your grades. What are we talking about? She's not gonna see that 4.0 and be like, this is something I can trust in. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the women out there, let me know if a high GPA is attractive. But yeah, I do see what you're saying for the most part. Okay, so I mean, well, I asked you guys must be on board. It seems like you guys have points that don't necessarily align with what he's saying, which is fine. Yeah, I have some things to say on it. I guess we can finish out if I forget because it's been a while. I forget the rest of what he says in the video, but I suppose we can play on to see if anything else worth discussing.
You more like stable than you that can take your girl,
Yeah.
then you ain't working hard enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
literally just ended the sentence. Nice. All right, so.
And he ended it with some bullshit too. Like,
Oops, sorry about that. So, like I said, I got some thoughts on this whole thing, and to be honest, it might get a little controversial. So, and I might get a little rambly. So, you guys definitely feel free to jump in and stop me because I don't want to get on and ramble. What's like the soft spark to start it? So, you know what I'm thinking when I'm watching this, and it's crazy because some of this stuff might sound contradictory. So, again, also may stop me if I'm just BSing, but if I'm babbling, I'm on record with both these thought processes. I think it's incredibly beautiful when two young people come together. When I mean young, I mean like relatively like at high school, whatever the case may be, come together and they're attracted to one another and they like the value that they kind of bring to one another and or the features that they can have with one another, and they go on to have long lasting relationships, just like our parents, grandparents, so on, etc. A lot of our parents, a lot of our people in our community throughout history, they met when they were relatively young and they went on to have long relationships. That just is what it is. And I think that's incredibly beautiful. And I think what makes that work is the understanding of the reality of those people that you're in at that age, where you're not necessarily gonna have a lot of resources. You might both be living with your parents, and that might be the reality for some period of time. There's probably some school, there's probably some early on minimum wage jobs that you're gonna have to deal with. But because, there is a lot of other value that's added by being with this person or interacting with this person, you can go on to proceed, have a lifestyle, like you were saying with your pops. It's a motivator. It motivates you to, excel in your career or in your school or, your endeavors. And you go on and do that. However, especially in this day and age, on the opposite end, I'm never mad, and for a lot of people I do recommend, as a guy, it doesn't hurt to get yourself to a point of where you're established, and then you make a proactive effort to, find a partner. Usually that's when you're done with school, when you bump into a job that meets whatever metric of salary or income that you prefer, when you have a house, when you have resources, when you're, established, it can look like a lot of different things to a lot of people. It might look completely different to DDG, but, established. But that being said, also keep in mind that, and this is where I would, I guess, start to disagree with DG, is, and a lot of brothers have this mindset where, like, I'm gonna get to this point where I feel super successful and super established, and that's why I'm gonna get a wife. Bro, that's one of those bars, like, it's you're shooting for the sun, but you're not gonna get that. It's not like, as a man, you're always gonna feel like, hey, I need to keep going. I need to keep, like, I bet you if you have a sit down with Jay-Z, even he feels like there's places he wants to get to and things he wants to do. Like, you're always going to want more. So you also have to be very realistic with yourself and be like, okay, at this point, you got to be realistic with yourself and be like, okay, at this point in time, I'm still going to, work to the best of my ability, but I can start to incorporate, a wife or a family in my situation. Because, like, people will consider DG incredibly successful. My brother has multiple.
Ironically, what he was saying in, like, that last little clip where he said, what do you say? Like, if you feel like someone can do better than you, you're not working hard enough, you're not grinding hard enough. But when does the grind ever stop?
Exactly.
Yes, I do agree with that. Same.
Like, I'm not super well versed in him, but I know he has like multiple gold plaques. He's an incredibly successful streamer. Any day of the week, you can go on his stream. He has like thousands of people tuning in and supporting. He's well known. Like, his brother's like this. He's statistically probably in the 1% of people in the United States. Maybe even the world. So you do have to be conscious of that. I guess that was the big thing. To kind of get to the main point of like feeling like your significant other won't leave you if somebody else DMs them. I'm on record. This is maybe, and I'm gonna say it at the end. So just give you some grace. You might not like it, but what I say when it comes to the thought process of worrying about if your girl leaving you, bro, she's not yours. It's just your turn. Meaning, like, we all like the thought of like you get that wife that you've been looking for. They meet most of your requirements, and you love them, and you want them to be by your side forever. Your rib. But at the end of the day, it's like humans are set up like there's not no happy ending forever after stories. You're always at the mercy of losing your significant other. If you get lazy, if you lose your job and you can't provide resources for a long ass time, if you aren't stimulating, if you're boring, if you get boring on them, they're definitely if you aren't if you're not giving them the attention, if you're not putting the effort, if you if you start smelling because you thought we were in deodorant, any given day of the week, you might lose your significant other. And that's the reality that I think more people gotta come down with. It is what it is. And that's why I'm on record with that expression can be very uncomfortable. That being said, obviously you can always again work yourself into where it's less likely that they will leave you, which is what I would recommend men strive for. Obviously, we're not all gonna be in the 1%. We're not all gonna be in the top 10%, 15%, whatever have you. But you can definitely kind of akin to what you were saying, Ace, form a lifestyle in which you have the necessary means to protect and provide, and it just makes sense. The value that you bring, and the sense of connection that you guys have built because you relate to each other on whatever level. But yeah, I think one of the last things I'm gonna say on this is now there's a cheat code to all this. There's a cheat code where you can bypass all this, and it's not really a cheat code because it still covers everything. But a lot of what DGG is talking about is if you're trying to get like a baddie that's on Instagram and like. And like a more materialistic person, the type of woman. Now, I'm obviously not trying to slander anybody, but we know the type of woman that if you can't even take like a month off because they're gonna start looking at you crazy. Yeah, if you want to have a high level of security that they're not leaving you, not just because of what you can provide, but because they feel bound to you by a higher power. Get yourself a nice Israelite wife. Stipulation, you have to be Israelite, brother. Who believes in once you get married, you gotta stay married. They believe it. They believe in no matter what's going through. You might have seasons where you're unsure of it, but they're gonna be your Sarah to your Abraham. Yes. Again, I said the caveat is because the average Israelite male is incredibly hardworking, tends to be a brother that can protect and survive, have a bunch of kids, and all kids are getting fed. But yeah, when you have that sense of the Most High as a foundation, I'm telling you, that's the strap.
So
Very optimistic.
I'm not trying to hate you here. Yeah. I just want to briefly point out that you went through the whole scenario, which has some truth to it, where you said that if you lose your job or you start lacking in some areas in your relationship, then your girl might lose interest. So your solution is to find a scenario, a situation in which you have to put in less effort because of how she perceives the relationship, which means you can get away with more. Am I understanding this right, or am I just getting it twisted in my head?
Maybe you could
sneakily get away with more.
Maybe you could sneakily say
I
that.
don't know, because you went through a whole list of stuff that might trigger a woman to leave the relationship, and the alternative wasn't to make sure you're doing all these things, which again, some of them may or may not be realistic to consistently do. But the solution was just to find a specific type of woman that will allow that. Right?
You reading this all
No, that's not
wrong.
what I'm
don't
saying.
even
I
understand.
like how that could be a response to what I'm saying, but no, it's more akin to they feel more bound because they, because of the type of woman that as like woman is, who's more bound to a certain system of like the severity of being bounded, men and women becoming one, they're going to be more inclined to stay with you. That's what it is. They're bound, and we are bound, I should be saying.
So the wealth question, for example, is not a necessarily a as much of a concern. Yeah, even though he's not saying like question to say you shouldn't still strive to become financially stable and all that stuff, but it's more so
the tolerance would be higher for.
I don't know if it's a tolerance thing. It's just that
not even the tolerance.
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. You guys know this.
I should say the allowance or the leeway would be more.
No, not even that, because like he was saying, you're never gonna get to the point where you're better than every man in the world, or even in the top. I mean, not never, but it's unlikely that you'll get up to those higher percentages. But he was just saying the likelihood that they'll leave you regardless of that is lower if they have a system of belief such that the wealth is not going to be as significant, if at all a factor in them potentially leaving you.
Yeah, I mean, you got correct me if I'm wrong, but that of her sister is not. They're not looking for a millionaire. They're looking for a brother that.
All right,
scriptures that can lead a situation.
Yeah, I think there's just I'm not understanding, because there's been like a whole lot of, I guess you're just framing it solely from the perspective of success and wealth, materials. I understand that. I was under the impression that we're talking about, because that is not the most important part of a relationship and the qualities that should be making you attracted to a woman. So I was under the impression that you meant like the whole package, less so than just that one aspect. And that's I guess just a misunderstanding on my part.
Which is fine. Like I said, I was doing a bit of babbling there, so it might get lost in translation. But yeah, if there's anything that anyone wants me to clear up, obviously just let me know. But yeah, that is my kind of whole thought process in this little 1 minute clip of DDG talking about his perspective on relationships. And that's again why I brought it here, because anything that does spark that level of thought process in my mind, I got to get out my chest on this podcast. But yeah, again, some things might sound contradictory. I think you guys, the points that you guys brought out, I think a person could safely stand on that. So salute to you guys. But I think there are different ways to go about it. You could again take the approach of find somebody when you're young, and y'all do both have to have the mindset, because there are some women out there that are even when they get with the young brother, they're expecting like the world. So they got to be conscious of that what that reality, what that situation means. You could go that route and grow together, or you could build up to establish yourself and then start to find a wife. But don't have them. But once you start getting to the territory of like, even though I'm successful, I still got to keep chasing. That's when you're running into a situation where you're about to be like 50 plus, like still no kids, still nothing. And yeah, man, no. I mean, I just closed this $1 million deal. I just bought a new house, but I don't feel as if I'm all the way there yet to be able to start a wife. Like, if you don't feel, if you're just never gonna feel it. You just gotta at some point you just gotta you have to do it when it makes sense, not necessarily when you feel as we're gonna catch. You're completely successful, and nobody can come in and be more successful than you. But yeah, um, in general, salute to all the brothers and sisters out there that don't really kind of like a lot of stuff is just human nature too. This is why like in the real world, like when you get outside, like people are just getting into relationships, especially people, not black people, because a lot of stuff don't happen. In conversations don't happen in other communities, but that's neither nor there. A lot of people just inherently know that it's better to get the the deal that looks pretty good and write it out with that. Instead of wrapping your what's the expression? Racking your brain around like, oh, what if she leaves me? Like, and I guess on the other end, am I right? Am I with the right guy, or can I do better? You know, a lot of times you really gotta be like, no, this woman is a super solid woman. She meets my requirements. She's attractive. She adds value, and I know that I can work harder and be a better person for them, but I can also do all right now and get on board with that. But enough relationship stuff. So again, people that got the system pretty down pat. If there's nothing else, we can move on. This is last but not least. I hope the names didn't. I think the names might have moved while I was shuffling things around. Give me 1 second. I hate how this. It's only y'all two names as well. So, we are hip hop adjacent, so we always got to not. Oh, sorry, I don't like putting not. We can't ignore when there's hip hop related stuff to talk about, and this specifically one of the biggest rap battles in history, the Great Rap War of 2024. It's pretty much concluded. Pretty much have a winner by TKO, Kendrick. But obviously, it's going to be a discussion forever, and it's definitely going to be a discussion for the rest of the year. I can't wait to see the wrap ups and roundups at the end of the year. People are going to really give their last thoughts and comments on it. So, just to give a recollection before we even get into this, I forwarded you the timeline. It was, I think, it's like Google Drive. I don't know if there's an easier way to get to it. It was too. This file is too big to put in Discord. But can you pull that up real quick? Is that possible?
Let's see.
I want to give everybody real quick reminder, and we don't even have to go through the whole timeline, but there's a specific point in the timeline that's really significant to point out before we talk about the current day, what's going on with one of the people that were involved in the Great War. So I'll give you a second to pull that up. I'll even go here for a second. We're not being right back, but we're pulling something up. Maybe if we can even pull that up. Obviously, I'm assuming you guys remember the history, but just in case though you don't, I'll include everything in the video.
Mm. Oh, I know what I can do. It was too big for Discord?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
What is- Okay. Navigate. Don't Fail Me Now, opera. Beautiful. Drake. You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Right. So, Drake v. Kendrick Lamar beef. So, the quick and dirty timeline. So, as we all recall, back in October last year, feels like years ago at this point, Drake released that first-person shooter record with Cole on it. We all loved it. We all loved the fact that two of the big three were coming together and putting on this bigger than Super Bowl record. Great verses. Little did we know, Kendrick wasn't feeling that shit. And in March this year, 2024, on the Like That record with Future Metro Boomin, Kendrick, responds to that first person shooter. Ain't no big three, it's just big me. And that really set it off. Salute to Kendrick. We know the rest. But before it became that Kendrick versus Drake, some of y'all might have forgotten, but Cole threw his shots in the ring real quick when he dropped an album. Might delete this later. And on the album, he released a 7-minute drill, in which he participated in the beef. He threw shots at Kendrick. He what did he say? He was like, your last one was ass. You don't got a classic. He was saying some wild stuff. And literally less than 3 days later, when he was on stage at a Dreamville festival, he retracted the diss and apologized, effectively saying he doesn't want to participate in a beef, in a diss battle, and he didn't really mean the things that he said. And after that, Drake went on to drop his diss records, Push Ups, and a Taylor Made record. And then the battle just spawned from there. We can go through the whole thing real quick. After that, Kendrick dropped Euphoria in 616. Incredibly great record. I still listen to Euphoria pretty much daily to this day. Then Drake responds with Family Matters, also one of the best diss records that, in my opinion, came out of this. And that's when Kendrick he stopped playing around. As we all remember. He dropped that Meet the Grams 20 minutes after Drake dropped. You really have to have been there, because this graph doesn't really, doesn't really this timeline doesn't really showcase like being up at that time, waiting for them to drop their next record, saying Kendrick's on the clock, no Drake's on the clock. But yeah, and after Meet the Grams, Kendrick followed up with the probably banger of the literal banger of this year, Not Like Us. You'd heard it, even if you probably don't even know what it's about. It's still not lost on me the fact that one of the biggest records of the year has bars calling somebody a predator. That's crazy. Pac must be sleeping good in his sleep. And then it effectively concluded with Drake dropping Heart Part 6, even though Drake was essentially the last person to drop the record, drop a record. The damage was already done, and Kendrick had already won at that point. But if you go back a bit, the notable part of this, why we're talking about this today, was that little part right there when we talked about Cole's involvement in it. Because again, while it became a Kendrick versus Drake, Kendrick won. When this originally popped off, and Kendrick responded unlike that, like he did, we all thought this was gonna be a Royal Rumble three-way. That's what I was hoping. Maybe people were thinking it's gonna be Kendrick versus J. Cole and Drake, but we thought this was gonna be a melee or a three-way. All the big three jump in the ring, and only one can come out, and that person will be the effective Big Me. But it didn't go like that. J. Cole definitely saw the timeline in which he actively engages in this battle, and it didn't look good. It looked messy. He gets called all type of things that Drake ended up getting called. So he dropped out. He apologized, and really that was the end of it. We really didn't hear much from him. J. Cole's already a person that doesn't put out a lot of content, or he didn't do interviews. He didn't make a lot of music, so we really didn't know what his thoughts were outside of the fact that he didn't really, again, want to engage in the beef, and he didn't really mean the things that he said on that 7-minute drill record. Which, to give him a little piece of my input, I said it at that time. I was incredibly disappointed in J. Cole. I 100%, even though that beef did get pretty nasty and there was some wild allegations from both sides, I do think he could have participated in that in the diss, put out great records, still come out like, not sorry. So you can put away this timeline and bring us to this day and age. Cole's putting out music. We like that. I mean, obviously he's been doing verses throughout the year. It's not like he's been completely dead silent, but it's been slow. I mean, like how he is in his playing career. But he just put out this song, Poor Antonio, and on it, people are saying he finally addresses the beef. Now, I would love to come on here and play the record. Even though we're not monetizing anything, it still makes me feel very sus and awkward. So the song called Poor Antonio, you can Spotify it, you can YouTube it, Apple Music it, whatever your thing of choice. But the main point here, we're looking at lyrics and how he addressed it. Did you guys listen to this, by the way? That's what I should be asking.
No,
I have not listened to it yet.
Jesus Christ! Now we gotta add it as one of the song selections of the week, just because it's relevant. Well, I don't like for people's first introduction to a music for just to look at the written lyrics because you don't get the vibe of it. But that's what we're doing. So scroll down. It's that second verse where he starts to pop off. Okay. So, sorry to play read along. But actually, I think you gotta keep going. Oh, not that far. It was right there. So, it basically starts here. You can maybe argue start a bit before. And I'm not gonna read this entire thing again. You gotta really listen to it to really understand the potency of what he's trying to say. But effectively, some of the parts that are notable is when he talks about how they instigate the effery because it's profitable, but singing "Stop the Violence" tunes when dudes in hospitals. he goes on to say, I wouldn't have lost a battle dog. I would have lost a bro. I would have gained a foe. All for what? Just to attain some more. I know it's kind of cringe. He makes claims of if it means I gotta dig up dirt and pay the whole team of algorithm bots on social media competing for your favorable memes to be considered the best or live in rest. Oh yeah, he goes on to say, my friends went to war. I walked away with all their blood on me. Now some will discredit me, try to wipe away my pedigree. But please, find a person out there that's rapping this incredibly. I mean, at least it rhymes. At least it goes together. Keep going down. He goes on to describe how somebody texted him, and he, if you refuse to shoot the gun, don't mean the gun ain't deadly. And then Cole promptly responded with, "Guess the gun ain't what I'm trying to be." So Cole said he didn't want to be a violent person. So he goes on to acknowledge that people are effectively trying to strip his spot. Oh, this bar was actually kind of clever. He said, they stripped me from my spot, and now I'm finally free. They say I'm picking sides, but don't lie to me. And then he goes on to kind of talk to Drake specifically. But the reason why I kind of like that, why I like it and don't like that line, is because even I'm included in that. I think there's definitely no more big three. If you want to call the big two Drake and Kendrick, that's fine. But Cole's definitely out of it, in my opinion. And again, he goes on to talk to Drake specifically for some reason. I don't know why he didn't give Kendrick some specific bars, but he goes on to say, Drake, you always be my guy. I ain't ashamed to say that you did a lot for me. F all the narratives. And then he goes on to speak about how hold your head up. You're still a goat, so to speak. Reminding these folks that why we do it, it's not beefing, it's for speaking our thoughts, pushing ourselves, reaching the charts, and in general, getting our creativity and reaching success. I hope all that was relatively manageable. Again, we'll link the song below so you can listen to it for yourself and ingest it the way it was meant to be. But this does give you the literal word for word what he's saying. So obviously there's no deep dive question. This is just to kind of dig back into the conversation about the beef and get y'all current thoughts on it. Again, we'll listen to it right after this, or if y'all even want to. Maybe y'all are disgusted with Cole. But what do y'all think of this? I don't even know how to describe it. It's not another diss record. No, it's not an apology record. It's a acknowledging of, hey, I definitely dropped out of it. I didn't want to participate in the beef. I acknowledge that people are saying I'm no longer in the big three. He's fine with that. He acknowledged that he didn't want to be a part of the social media divisiveness elements of the beef. He didn't want to have to pay people to dig up information. Like that was the big allegation that kept going on when Drake and Kendrick were going back and forth. And then he gives him he says he acknowledges that people say he's picking sides. And then he gives some words to Drake. You're still a guy. You're still that guy. You did a lot for me, and so on and so forth. I don't know why. I'm trying to get conspiracy theory, but there was that talk about how at one point Cole wants to sign Kendrick. I wonder if there's still some weird feelings from that. Anyway,
stretch, bro.
It's definitely conspiracy theory territory. But anyway, based off what Cole was speaking about, what do we think about this? Is this a respectable way to? I don't know if this is his idea of concluding everything. Is it a respectable way to go about the beef after everything has happened? It's also interesting timing. I wonder if this would hit either way closer to when the beef happened, or if this is like a record you drop like 10 years after the fact and be like, yeah, this is just to speak on the on this old event. What do you think about this Ghost?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't think it was a bad move necessarily. I just think that for one, it's like everything that he said. It's I don't have an issue with, but it it comes off as a little I don't know if disingenuous is the word, but kind of conflicts with the fact that he again like most of the fact that Cole caught is because he dropped a 7-minute drill.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you came to these realizations, or you didn't come to any of these realizations before you dropped that track, and it was all after that? That I don't know. That's one thing, and
What's the problem? You never said something disrespectful to somebody, and then 2 days later you'd be like, "Nah, I was wrong."
yeah, if he feels this strongly about it, then I kind of feel like he should have felt this way the entire time. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not being fair. Again, like what he said isn't. Oh, it just feels a little. Okay, this is your side of the story. Cool. We don't really care about your side of the story at this point. To be honest, at least I don't. Not that I'm never gonna listen to Cole's music again, but it's like I'm. I'm not really checking for him like I used to be, which I'm sure he doesn't care about. But I just feel like this would have.
You mean
Yeah,
specifically like around the way he went about this whole beef, or just in general?
I mean, just kind of the way he went about this. It's not the only factor. Like I feel like his stuff has not been bad, but not been super high quality the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
But I for one, this would have hit a little hard if he dropped it closer to the beef, because now it just makes it seem like it took him 2 months to come up with this response when
Could have been
like it
something
takes you that long to write.
It could have been something he's just sitting on. He's not really giving it a lot of thought.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it probably was, but I think for me, the number one thing and the reason why this doesn't hit like it could have, and what I can't get out of my head, is Grippy.
Oh my god,
Bro, he dropped that shit
so
mid
awful.
beef.
He
We
didn't drop
thought
it.
no.
It
The
was
thing
his
is,
feature.
we thought I don't care. He could have called in some favors, had them cancel that shit. But the thing is, he could have dropped this instead of Grippy, and we would all been like,
He
"Oh,
didn't
cool."
drop it.
I don't care if it was a feature. He rapped that shit, and I don't even know if "rap's" the right word. And it came out mid beef. He could have. You telling me that you don't got the clout to? I'm gonna have to call in a favor. I know you want to release it this day, but I'm gonna need you to push this off. Blah blah blah. Or I don't re-record the verse. That's the main. That's the main thing, bro. Like,
I don't know
I,
I don't know the rules and regulations of when you give somebody a feature and they plan to put it out a certain day, how much authority you have to tell them to pull it back. But I actually get 100% what you're saying, because whenever I remember that record, I just think like Cole literally just stopped caring about music at that point. The quality.
yeah, it's like we got. I can't remember exactly in the timeline when this was, but we got Kendrick dropping stuff. We like that. I don't know if he dropped this record
I
back
don't
yet.
think it was during the beat. I think it was a little after, but it was so close. It was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like when we think of that era, I'm thinking of for Drake, Family Matters, for Kendrick, the 616, Meet the Grams, and Euphoria, and then Not Like Us, and then Cole. I'm thinking it's
All
Grippy,
right.
like I can't even sing it without it like drawing back painful memories.
It's definitely a stay on his career, absolutely. Um, But no, that was the reason why I was asking about like the timeline of when you would say definitely lost interest and maybe stopped checking for Cole as much because I'll be honest, I don't know what would be the best way to prove it. Maybe like you would look at the I don't know if Spotify has numbers on that, but maybe I know on YouTube if they like lost subscribers on something like that. I think he definitely lost fans based off of it. I think and I don't know if it's gonna be I don't know if it's one of those things where you could just express it as like if you just want a true fan if you stop rocking with them as much because I think literally it's just something like if you just genuinely enjoy high quality music, high quality hip hop, and one of your not favorite artists, but one of you are an artist that you respect to some degree makes a move like that, it's, you're just gonna lose interest. Like, okay, so this artist is serious about um making quality music anymore. And when they do put out something, because 7 Minute Drill wasn't the best, but it wasn't. It definitely was decent. You recall it. So like you recall it and take it off streaming services. So it was a weird moment. Um, so yeah. What about you, Ace? What do you think of this record? The bars that Cole put in it. His outlook on the beef. Do you think it was a good move to make, or do you think it just makes Cole look worse? I guess yeah, that's one of the better questions. Do you think make this record makes Cole look better or worse? And you are all the way
You're
muted.
on mute.
I think he shouldn't have put it out at all. I think
Oh Lord.
it reminds me of like why I was frustrated when he left the beef in the first place. And I think during the beef, it got to the point where everybody was like, okay, we see why J. Cole dropped out. It's they got too personal or whatever, and he probably saw that coming, so he dropped out. And like all he's doing is kind of reiterating that, which was pretty obvious to everybody. So why like what's the point of saying it? All you're doing is basically you're just reminding us that you dropped out the beef. Like it brings back the frustration for me. Um so I don't think he should have dropped it. And then there's this, like you said, he addresses Drake and oh, you'll always be my dude. It's like Drake lost. Like nobody wants to hear any Drake sympathy right now. Stop it. It's just this is to me it's a bad move. I mean, I don't. It's like he has people in his ear that are telling him they want him to do these things like oh you the what you call it, the 7 minute drill verse, like oh you gotta drop that's good, and he drops it and like nobody like it's like what are you doing, and then leaving, and then freaking now this is like who is talking to this dude? Nobody wanted this stuff, but you just keep doing it. Like, just chill out, man. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
To give it a bit of bail, and you're largely right. You can make the case that when he went on and did that dumbass apology, he apologized to Kendrick, and he was like, I really didn't mean this, and I shouldn't have rapped about those things. But we don't know if there was a resolution when it comes to like Drake. Like he only addressed one part of the battle. He didn't necessarily come out and say, "But I'm still cool with Drake." So maybe this was his last little piece of.
He didn't diss Drake, did he?
No, but if I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't. Y'all know for the longest time, I'm damn near putting Cole above Drake and Kendrick. I don't know. I don't know how to explain any of this. I don't know. I don't know how to explain any of this. I don't. And to what you were saying, I don't think Cole is listening. Actually, he actually on record, even in this record, talking about he's very privy to what people are saying about it, both like out of circle and just online. But he doesn't move. I don't think any of the moves he's making are specifically based off people pushing him in a direction. Maybe you can say somebody put a battery in his back for the 7 minute drill, but I don't think in general.
Yeah.
I don't think in general people Cole specifically moves based off like somebody in circle being like, "Dog, you got to do this," which makes it even a bit more concerning because I really don't necessarily, there was a once upon a time where Cole was, it's made a lot of this is opinion based. It was such a good articulator and speaker, and rapper that like he could speak a lot to the music. Like even though we appreciate when our artists do interviews, he didn't necessarily need a lot of them because when he's putting out those mixtapes, when he was putting out Born Sinner, we kind of understood his perspective and view on a lot of things. I think that's changed to where this music isn't really connecting. Like I listened to the entire album, the Might Delete Later album. What is Cole about based off that album? What is Cole about currently?
I mean, it was a bad album, even outside of the 7-minute drill being taken off of it. It was just like
I tend to agree. I think it was like throwaway music, which I'm sure all artists have. And if you want to put it out, that's fine. I'm assuming he's not trying to win a Grammy off of that, but it's like it's pointless. I think it would have served him better. And again, before I didn't agree, it would have served him better to just do not an interview, but like his own podcast where he just like addresses stuff off gets off his chest. Because this is really, really pointless. Yeah, you're actually really on point. Yeah, it's like he didn't need to remind us that he dropped out of the race. We were there.
Right. Right.
We saw it. We were there. We were disappointed, and now we're just like, oh yeah, he dropped out. And maybe this is his hard confirmation. Maybe there was someone still waiting in the wing that he would come back and with a record, but I don't. That's delusional, and this is pointless. Which is pretty much my thoughts on it too. Again, I don't think this record is awful. I'm curious to know what you guys think of the actual material itself, but I think this message would have better been served if you just get on a microphone and not rap it, but just kind of let's unpack it. Like if it really is nothing to talk about because the beef is pretty much over. But what led you to put out the original record? What led you to pull it back? And like, what do you think of the big three and moving forward? And they can kind of talk about your relationship with Kendrick and Drake, which again this is kind of conspiracy theory shit, which I don't honestly like all the time. But we've seen Drake and Cole go on tour. We've seen them hugging and kissing on stage, like Kendrick said. We haven't seen Cole and Kendrick interact in probably about half a decade, and they might be over at each other's house all the time, eating the brunches and all dumb shit. But now the perception is like Kendrick stood on business, and we know y'all used to be cool. We used to remember the era when we thought there was an album coming, the Kendrick and Cole album. I don't know. And again, these people's relationships are not necessarily hella important, but when the conversation was predominantly about Kendrick, and now you're just saying, "Hey Drake, you'll always be my man." Who thought y'all were? What? You need to be talking to Kendrick. We need to know what you think about Kendrick. Is Kendrick your man? But anyway, I don't. Yeah. I'm on record, and I'm probably even harder on me than you Ghost. But J. Cole's definitely out of the top three. He's definitely out of the tier 1. He's definitely out of my top 5. And
does that imply that Drake is there?
Well, Drake's in like the tier 1, for better or for worse. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I think I don't think he's an awful artist, but I think he's at that point of a career where there's a lot of pointlessness going on. It's throwaway music. It's not really connecting. He's speaking like this song is pointless. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's pointless. But maybe if y'all disagree, let us know in the comments or whatever the case may be. But if there's nothing else, we can wrap this thing up. So yeah, good stuff. Ran a bit long, but I still enjoyed the material. And once you cut it down, it becomes less shorter, or less shorter. It becomes way shorter, so it's not a big issue. So quick, get it off your heart, get it off your chest. I don't know if y'all have anything that y'all want to walk back or recall on to or speak to. I only got one or maybe two things. I guess I get real quick. I don't want to get too sad or anything. Real quick, obviously. Condolences and also prayers to the people affected by recent hurricanes. We know it's hurricane season and stuff be hitting. I think it ended up not hitting as hard as really anticipated, but that doesn't mean it wasn't some destruction all the same. So definitely hoping people, those communities get another recovery and aid that they need to get back on things back in order. Specifically in the Florida area. So that was one. And two, this actually happened a while ago, and I would have liked to come on last time we were doing podcasts and speak to it, but I want to come on here and give a super salute. I don't know what you say to people when they retire, but my literal favorite player of all time, Derrick Rose, announced retirement a few weeks back. Probably might be a clean month at this point. And yeah. Obviously it's not a sports podcast, so I'm not gonna bring up he averaged such and such all his throughout his seasons. He was amazing. I will say he was one of the best Bulls players, undoubtedly, especially in the era where he played. His being known for being a whole MVP, putting so much heart and soul, being one of the most clutch players I've ever seen. Oh my, you can put you can make a highlight reel of just him doing comeback closers, like with like 0.7 seconds on the clock. But yeah, salute to D Rose. Well deserved, put his time in. Obviously, went through the ringer of injuries and things of that nature, but again, one of my favorite players. So I just had to give a quick salute because he did in fact announce that he's retiring. That's it. Before we wrap this up, as always, do we have things that, or what, if anything, are we looking forward to? What they have to say about having something to look forward to, both the positive and the negative. What are y'all looking forward to coming up?
For me, I have been invited to another wedding.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's a coworker.
People getting married.
Oh, it's gonna be in California. So.
Holy moly!
Oh damn!
Oh.
Hype.
In LA?
No, San Jose.
Got you. Still West Coast altogether. Definitely take a lot of pictures.
Yeah, I'm infamously bad at that, but consider it.
Yeah, I am too. For myself, it's kind of like a weird thing. I don't necessarily like speaking on I don't like speaking on things I don't know the specific date where it's coming out. But as you may know, rapper, New York, Brooklyn, relatively low key. I think he's the whole set does a morning show as well. He's putting out or having a show, and it's so funny because it looks like so low quality. It looks so low quality. It looks like some Tubi shit, but I think it actually fits Mano because of specifically who he is. I think it's and it's really just kind of showing his life. So it's gonna be authentic. It's a kind of akin to like a Curb Your Enthusiasm based off the material that's been put out. So if you're interested in a comedy, but you also enjoy the hip hop elements of it, like Jim Jones, Dave East is on it too. So it's kind of exploring the type of lifestyle he lives. I'm looking forward to that. I always like to support Mano. He's definitely been someone that's been solid throughout his career. But I can't put a firm date on it. That sucks. I can't. They didn't put a date yet. So I can look it up while we're finishing this up.
I saw Dawn to Dawn drop. Did you watch any episodes of that yet, Chris?
We're actually gonna talk about that after the podcast. The Black Network in the Black Network. Interesting. Sorry, is there anything else?
I guess real quick for me, few shows coming up next month. Looking forward to concerts, I should say. NBA season starting this month, which I'm super hyped for. Couple of movies / shows I'm looking forward to watching. One of them was called Pluto. I guess technically it dropped last year. Movie, anime, based on Astro Boy. We might have just talked about it.
I thought you watched that.
Me?
Yeah, I
No.
thought you watched it and said it was good.
What?
Yeah.
You must be
Unless
talking
there was
about
another
a different
show.
movie, a different show.
Is this a show or a movie?
It's
a show, right?
Movie. It's a movie.
What
The
the
only
heck?
shows that I've watched, anime.
It was last year. I mean, it was last.
You,
It was
are you
when it
talking
came
about?
out.
You talking about
Alright,
Pantheon?
Let's
That's like the only thing I can.
wrap this
think of.
podcast up. You guys can debate who said what when afterwards. But I will clarify one thing. It actually
I feel like he's gonna go back and be like, "Oh wait, I already watched this." No.
No, I never watched it.
Well, if you do, come back on here and tell us about it. Just to clarify, it actually does have a release date. It's October 15th, so it's coming out like a couple days. Nice. On In the Black Network, which I don't know where you find In the Black Network, but I'm assuming if you Google it, it'll point you directly to it. Anyway, good show. As always, thank you guys for coming here and doing this podcasting. Greatly appreciate y'all, and we greatly appreciate any and all listeners. We super are appreciative of the support, the comments, the subscriptions, or the subs, on the channel. And we're gonna keep on working on it, grinding, and doing our thing. Coming here and giving our hot takes. Hopefully, it's not rambling too much. Apologies if people don't. Why am I apologize for talking? Get out of here. Anyway, and we hope by listening to us that you, gain a perspective, or you might have learned something new. Like if you live in Florida and you even say something even kind of shiesty, this one share might be on your ass, or you might have been entertained. But if none of that happened to you, then all we have to say to you is be warmed and be filled. Thank you. Dang, been out for 3 hours. But I mean,
Pantheon.
it's like
Pluto is